Chapter 1 Mentioning him, he feels bad. Brother, it's a pity to do such a beautiful little beauty like this. If she is not the best beauty, how can she stay with Mr. Gore for 2 years? Anyway, she's going to die, or let me. Then hurry up. It's almost done. After that, throw her to feed the shark, and don't leave the aftermath. As soon as Shen Yi woke up, he heard the conversation between two men. Then, there was the sound of opening the door. Shen Yi bit his lips hard and expelled the remaining sedatives in his body with pain. When the man saw her open her eyes, he was not only not panicked, but also seemed to be more excited. The little beauty woke up. Wake up, there was no one here. Wait a minute, you can shout as loudly as you want. I will definitely make you fall on the road. Don't touch me. Shen Yi hasn't recovered his strength yet, but she still tenaciously protected her body with her arms. I have money, a lot of money, I'll give it to you, please. Looking at the corners of Shen Yi's eyes, tears rolled out, and the man's little conscience woke up a little. He sighed, little beauty, you can't blame your brother. If you want to blame, you can only blame you for offending the people you shouldn't have offended. Who? The man didn't answer her and reached out to her with a lewd smile, trying to tear her clothes. Shen Yi looked around in panic and suddenly found that the environment in front of him seemed to be familiar. In the dilapidated water park, weeds grew in the cracks of the tiles, and the ground was covered with mixed footprints. In front of her is a pool of dirty-looking seawater, and the one swimming underwater should be what they call sharks. She knows this place. Moreover, there was pain in the lower abdomen. She suddenly remembered that she had just got the medical examination report today. She is pregnant. Pregnant with Guo Hongye's child. And before she got out of the hospital at that time, she was stunned and brought here. Was he so heartless? For the sake of the white moonlight who has just returned to China, Guo Hongye can even do his own flesh and blood. As soon as the man approached Shen Yi, he was almost crazy, so he didn't notice at all how terrible the anger burst out in Shen Yi's eyes was. Go to hell. Shen Yi broke the cauldron and sank the boat, and pushed hard. The man lost his center of gravity and fell backwards. In addition, the ground here was slippery, and he fell into the pool uncontrollably. A hungry shark opened its mouth in front of Shen Yi. The man was dragged into the water like a rag in an instant. Run. Shen Yi stumbled and ran out. With her childhood memories, she escaped in the dilapidated water park. Drop. Drop. As soon as he ran out of the park, there was a sudden sound of a car's horn behind him, like a life-cerning charm issued by the god of death. The dazzling headlights were reluctant to chase. Shen Yi ran into the road. There was a vast sea in front of her, and she had no way to escape. Flutter. She slipped into the water and disappeared without a trace. 6 years later. Mordu Airport. Before he got off the plane, Shen Yi felt the lethality of water and soil resistance. After giving birth to a baby, her body was less competitive than before, and a little wind and grass could take half of her life. The young assistant girl respectfully received Shen Yi's mother and son. Hello, Miss Shen. My name is Gao Xiao. During your stay in China, I will be on standby for you 24 hours a day. Gao Xiao looked at the mother and son with natural beauty, and only felt that they were more beautiful in real life than in the photo. Especially the little guy standing next to Shen Yi, Shen Jingcheng. Especially those eyes are like a vast river of stars. If you look at them for a while, you will suck people in. Listen carefully to Aunt Gao Xiao. Because of abdominal pain, Shen Yi's face was a little pale, but she still told her son a few more words. There was no one in the bathroom, but as soon as Shen Yi entered the compartment, he heard a woman coming in while making a phone call. The information you gave is correct, but the old lady who no one asked for changed her flight. I guess Guo Hongye will not pick her up in person. The woman stood in front of the mirror and put on lipstick, and said impatiently, but I met the stinky boy Guanhua. This little ghost is really annoying. Did I tell you? He made fun of me several times. Humph, when I find the right opportunity, I must take care of him. After saying that, the sound of high heels hitting the ground went away, and the woman left the bathroom. Shen Yi walked out of the compartment with a calm face. She looked at the reopened bathroom door and sneered. This is really a narrow road. As soon as she landed, she heard the name Guo Hongye. It's really bad. Besides, the woman who called just now. Listen to the voice, it should be Guo Hongye who has never forgotten his white moonlight Qing Xiaoling. However, why did Qing Xiaoling come to the airport to take care of Hongye? Doesn't he love her to the bone? Do you still need her to be so low? However, these old people have nothing to do with her whether they are alive or dead. Chapter 2 Do you still have me as an uncle in your eyes? Shen Yi left the bathroom, contacted Gao Xiao, and picked up his son at the small playground. Little Orange, where did this come from? Shen Yi looked at the extra cap on the little guy's head for no reason and asked. Although the hat is low-key black, the logo embroidered on the side of the hat is showing its high price. Shen Yi felt strange. My son has always been very measured. He doesn't touch things that don't belong to him. How can he suddenly come over wearing other children's hats at the present? Maybe I forgot to return it? Shen Yi stretched out his hand and wanted to take off his hat for his son. The little guy raised his hand vigilantly to protect it. It was given to me by a child. He said he didn't like it and didn't want it. As he said, he stretched out his finger and pointed to a group of men in black suits not far away. 7 or 8 adults are escorting a child. Judging from the back, the child should be about the same age as Shen Jingcheng. In this scene, Shen Yi unconsciously thought of that man again. If you don't like something, let alone what it is, you don't want it. This is what those nobles do. It's still the same for hats, and even more so for people. She coldly withdrew her gaze. When she met her son's eyes, her eyes softened again in an instant. Let's go. Shen Jingcheng took Shen Yi's hand and looked back 3 times before leaving, as if he was worried about something. It was not until he saw the child successfully get on a black Maibach that he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. In the Maibach, cough. As soon as the little guy came in, the man in the back seat felt that his throat hair was itchy, his fist pressed against his thin lips, and coughed several times in a row. The accompanying doctor quickly handed him a bottle of medicine. The man raised his finger slightly and signaled him to withdraw. I'm fine. His eyes fell on the child who had just got on the car, frowning because of physical discomfort, and slowly stretched out. He asked in a gentle voice, did Nono play with other children? Well, I played for a while. Guo Enwo fought for a temper and added, I also made a new friend. The man's eyebrows were stained with a smile. Oh, then you can invite me to your home as a guest. At this time, Guo Enwo turned his eyes out of the window with some uncomoisant. How could he take him home casually when he first met him? I'll talk to him more. Looking at the look of a little adult on his son's face, Guo Hongyi had a strange taste inexplicably in his heart. In the past 5 years, he has rarely seen the shadow of the woman on his son's face. This is the first time today. At noon, Shen Yi took his son to dinner with his best friend, Ling Hoyu. When I came back this time, in addition to taking my grandmother to see a doctor, I also had to deal with part of the group's business in the new company in China. However, it won't stay long. Shen Yi introduced his schedule. Ling Hoyu said generously, then stay in my house. Anyway, I don't have to shoot recently, so I can play with Little Orange every day. I have arranged a place to stay. Grandma is going to rest. Shen Yi thanked her best friend for her kindness, but she would like to ask you to take care of my children this afternoon. Are you in such a hurry? Shen Yi was gloomy. Well, the hospital issued a critical illness notice. After a simple lunch, Shen Yi booked a special car to rush back to his hometown. After all, the medical conditions in the small county of my hometown are not as good as the magic capital. Shen Yi is afraid that her grandmother will suffer, so she plans to transfer her to the hospital as soon as possible. However, when she rushed to the inpatient department in a hurry, she saw that Grandma Shen was sitting in bed, watching TV leisurely and peeling oranges. Seeing her granddaughter who had been apart for a long time, Grandma Shen's face was not excited, but only embarrassed to pretend to be sick and exposed. Yi, do you want to eat oranges? Don't eat. Shen Yi said seriously, please wait for me for a moment. I'm going to go through the discharge procedures now. Shen Yi didn't dare to delay for half a moment. Even though we haven't seen each other for 6 years, she still clearly remembers what the relatives of the Shen family are talking about. In order not to meet them, the sooner the better. However, whatever you are afraid of will come. Shen Yi. So you're not dead. Shen's cousin came to meet him, with only surprise on his face, but no joy. Where have you been for so many years? Do you have a conscience? I don't know if you can come back and have a look. The cousin next to her raised her eyebrows and laughed. Didn't she come back to see it? If our wife hadn't stepped into the ghost gate with 1 foot, she would have been reluctant to go back. Hearing this movement, other relatives flocked in one after another. Shen Yi. Where are you going to lie to your grandma? The third uncle of the Shen family scolded the most fiercely. You don't know that she is sick. Do you think your grandmother is slow? Shen Yi said calmly, I transferred my grandmother to the hospital. She has to go to a bigger hospital for a comprehensive examination. Transfer to the hospital. You have a big idea. After a few years outside, you don't know what the rules are, do you? You should discuss such a big thing with us first. The uncle of the Shen family scolded harshly, do you still have me in your eyes? Chapter 3 Kneel down. Shen Yi looked cold and didn't answer his words. Oh, it's good to be back. Family, have something to say. The third aunt stretched out her hand to protect with Shen Yi, he said with a smile, Yi must have been working hard outside in the past few years, so he has no time to go back to his hometown. Young people are all like this. Shen Yi just wanted to say that it was the third aunt who was clear. However, I heard the third aunt's mouth change, one by one, it costs a lot of money to transfer the hospital, right? Is this money paid by your father or by you? Your grandmother has been hospitalized for so long, but she has spent a lot of time. Your uncle and our family have spent a lot, but your father hasn't expressed it yet. Can you take out 50,000 yen now? Shen Yi's eyebrows became cold again. Third aunt, you have to go to Shen Jingheng for money. After all, he is my father's only biological son, and he must have money. As soon as he said this, his cousin immediately exploded. Why do you pretend to be a big-tailed wolf without money? Do you still want to transfer grandma to the hospital? I think you just don't have good intentions. He seemed to be looking at a piece of garbage, and there was only disgust in his eyes. Originally, our family had a bad reputation because of you, so you simply died outside. Don't come back to embarrass us and drag us down. Shen Yi said coldly, I still have to come back and have a look. I have to review your ugly appearance. The faces of the Shen family were extremely bad in an instant. What's your attitude? The uncle of the Shen family was extremely angry and roared in a low voice, kneel down. What's the fuss about? What's the fuss about? The nurses came in a hurry, but the Shen family blocked the corridor. My cousin smiled contemptuously. Today is the arrival of the king, and we also have to implement the family law. I want to see if her bones are as hard as her mouth. With that, the cousin opened the bow left and right, as if preparing to use violent means. However, as soon as they finished speaking, the cousin suddenly screamed in pain, which shocked the people standing around him. Who the fuck kicked me? He turned around to ask for the blame. Several cold-hearted men in black suits met his eyes. Shen's cousin was only stunned for a second, and immediately sat on the ground with his legs in his arms and howled. Ah, my leg is broken. Son, where did you get hurt? Let mom have a look. They beat people. Lose money. Must lose money. Don't move, Miss Shen. The man in black at the head didn't seem to hear the shouting of the Shen family, and ordered coldly. The Shen family looked at each other. Shen Yi came back with a support. Shen Yi, who was repeatedly blamed by his relatives, took a deep breath secretly. She recognized the silver embroidery on the suits of the group of people in black. They are from Go's group. It seems that the evil fate in the past is really not so easy to break. The storm of the hospital soon reached Go Hongye's ears. President, Miss Shen is still alive. Special Assistant Xu Xiaoqiang reported with the excitement from the bottom of his heart that he was in Langxi County, and it seemed that he came back specially for Mrs. Shen. The black-haired man at the desk was wearing a light grey nightgown, mixed with a trace of laziness in the coldness. He was reading the proposal of the group's new project. After listening to Xu Xiao's words, he didn't even lift his eyelids. Uncle Yi has sent more men and will definitely do his best to protect Miss Xu. Xu Xiao added. One more thing, Xu Xiao quietly observed Go Hongye's reaction, and his tone was a little lighter. According to your instructions, Uncle Yi and others have been secretly protecting Mrs. Shen and have not interfered too much in the Shen family's housework. This time, Miss Shen's whereabouts were exposed. Someone called Uncle Yi to report the news. A trace of evil light flashed in Go Hongye's deep ink eyes. Who? The specific identity of the person has not been determined yet, because he used a voice changer. By checking the address of the call, we learned that the owner's name is Lin Hoye. It has been verified that she is Miss Shen's best friend. Xu Xiao replied. That actress? Yes, President. Go Hong became clearer and asked again, hasn't she been filming outside recently? Well, Miss Lin Hoye has just finished filming an online drama. Their company doesn't seem to care much about her, so she is basically at home every day. Go and fill her up. Go Hongyin said leisurely. Good, President. Before retreating, Xu Xiao saw the big fat orange raised by the boss proudly walk to the middle of the desk, stepped on the plan he was reading, and then suddenly fell down like a bully, showing his belly. Xu Xiao was stunned. According to the trainer, the big orange cat Jixiang will only be so presumptuous when he feels that Go Hongye is in a good mood. This shows that the boss is in a good mood now. Orange cat is the proof. No wonder, more than 5 years have passed, and he thought that Shen Yi had long passed away. Unexpectedly, she appeared in the devil's capital again. Woo. Suddenly, there was a low hum of a dog beside him. Xu Xiao looked down and saw that it was the border shepherd Fugoi raised by Go Hongye who came in. With a round plastic toy in its mouth, it went straight to Go Hongye's feet. Fugoi put down the toy, stretched out his claws, and snapped it. The toy button suddenly made a small milk sound. Mom. Chapter 4. Is this what people should say? Mom. This word is particularly strange to Go Hongye. He lowered his eyes and glanced at Fugoi. Where did he come from? The cute big dog tilted his head and pretended to be stupid, with clear stupidity in his eyes. Go Hongye bent down and picked up the sound button. It's very new, and the styling details are different from the set he bought back. The set he bought was the only one who threw away the button of his mother. Because he thinks that his children don't need a mother. This big family has a father, an aunt, and many relatives who are devoted to him, which is enough. But the appearance of this vocal button is enough to show that the child has her own hope. Go Hongye felt that the baby could also have a mother. However, he still needs to spend more time and thought to understand Shen Yi again. He has to figure out why she was pregnant with his flesh and blood 6 years ago, but deliberately concealed it and played for disappearance. Why is her whereabouts unknown after giving birth to a child? There is no news. She is 9 months pregnant. Doesn't she have any feelings for the child? Their mother and daughter have been separated for 6 years. More than 2,000 days and nights. Such a long time is enough to make a person change dramatically. He didn't see through her in the past, and now he can't talk about it. He wants to give his son the best, including his mother. If the mother is not qualified enough, it is better to lack than abuse. Go Hongye took Fulgoy out of the study together. When he opened the door, a sneaky little figure flashed quickly in the corridor. The corners of Go Hongye's lips rose slightly, and then he pressed the sound button hard. Mom. The little guy hiding in the corner of the corridor was a little nervous. After hesitating for a moment, he still came out. He lowered his head, and his attitude of admitting his mistake was obvious. Dad, I played the button for Fulgoy. You scold me. Go Ho's sharper eyebrows became gentle in an instant. The little guy, who has always been tougher than him, actually learned to admit his mistakes. Is this still his son? Or is it because the child also heard the news of Shen Yi's return to China, and made a special change in order to meet his mother? Go Hongye sighed silently in his heart, then bent his knees and squatted down, looked straight at Go Eunhwa, and touched her little head. Dad knew your wish. That night, Shen Yi finally, with the help of the bodyguards of the Gu family, bypassed the fly-like relatives of the Shen family and took his grandmother out of Lenshi County in a special car. However, this matter made her feel very bad. She had just returned to China for less than a day, and Go Hongye followed her in a sinister way. This only shows that he has been sending someone to monitor the Shen family. Why did he do this? When she thinks of the past, she will remember how cold the sea was that day. She often dreams back in the middle of the night, and she can still feel the dying sense of suffocation. The land that gave birth and raised her now brings her almost only painful memories. She can't wait to leave immediately. Shen Yi's sad face was reflected on the glass of the car. Grandma Shen felt sorry and comforted her granddaughter. Yi, don't worry, Grandma is rich. The old man gently stroked Shen Yi's shoulder with his wrinkled hands. Over the years, you have saved 10,000 yuan in your own card every month. Grandma has never used it. She has saved it all. If you get married in the future, you can still use it. Shen Yi came back to his senses in astonishment. What is 10,000 yen? Except for giving you 100,000 yen at one time, she hasn't finished her words yet. Shinan Grandma's elderly plane. There was a sudden sound like a flood bell. Your debit card account 0 for 58. The income is 20, 0.00 yen. The long string of zeros continuously reported by the mechanical female voice made the driver couldn't help slowing down and listen. Our Grandma Shen covered her chest with one hand and handed her mobile phone to Shen Yi with the other hand. How much is this? Shen Yi was stunned. Is this my old card? Are you still using it? Isn't it frozen? You send money to it every month. How can it be frozen? In the year you left, someone specially sent back all your things. I turned to your bank card and phone card, and I have been using your previous number to keep these cards. Speaking of this, Grandma Shen anxiously pushed Shen Yi's arm. Where did the 200,000 yen come from now? Hurry up and check it out. No one has transferred it wrongly. 200,000. Shen Yi was stunned. The memory of the dead attacks the heart crazily. This is her monthly salary after being Go Hongye's personal assistant and secret lover. Once upon a time, she looked at the money and weaved a luxurious dream of a rich family for herself. She thought she could become Mrs. Go, especially at the moment when she knew that she was pregnant with Go Hongye's child. However, overnight, the pink dream bubbles broke all over the ground. She has become a superfluous person, an abandoned plaything that doesn't even deserve to exist in the world. In 2 years, more than 4 million, not only intended to buy her youth, but also almost bought her life. She spent 6 years repairing the hole in her heart, but she didn't expect that before they were officially reunited, the man would measure her at the same price. Chapter 5. It came when I smelled it. Modue, Go's group building. Go Hongye glanced at the vibrating mobile phone, and the text message prompted that he had received 200,000 yen. Immediately came, and there was also a text message. The money that Mr. Go transferred by mistake has been returned to you. Go Hongye's wrinkled eyebrows slowly stretched out. He dialed directly according to the sender's number. It's hard for you. After so many years, you still remember my account. Go Hongye gently pinched the bridge of his nose and rubbed it. Shen Yi was choked. But she returned to the appearance of nothing in a blink of an eye, not polite. There is a shortage of people in the company. Let's see when you can be on duty. Go Hongye asked. Shen Yi smiled sarcastically. Thanks to Mr. Go, I am willing to give him a chance, but it's a pity that I already have my own career. Interestingly, 6 years have passed, and the salary you paid the assistant is still the same. Oh, Go Hongye seemed to realize the key problem, and his tone was a little more sudden. The price of pork has risen. 200,000 yuan is really not enough. So what's the price now? Shen Yi hung up the phone indifferently. The glass in front of her reflected her cold face, and her beautiful apricot eyes seemed to be able to fly out tens of millions of sharp arrows at any time. He really hasn't changed at all. For him, there is nothing in the world that money can't solve. But he was wrong. She, Shen Yi, is no longer a toy that his Go Hongye called to come and wave. 2 days later, the Mordu Emperor Star Hotel, GLV, an internationally famous luxury brand, will hold a charity dinner here today. Social celebrities and celebrities gathered here, and major media flocked to it. The Phantom has been parked here for a long time. Whose car is it? The young reporter asked the seniors present for advice. The reporter glanced at the license plate, Magic AG9999. Gore's group. This big Buddha has never attended such an occasion. Today, the sun really came out from the west. An extra-length Lincoln came slowly. Then, a young woman in a moon-white sleeveless dress elegantly entered the sight of the reporters. No one recognized who she was, but the human instinct to pursue beauty made them couldn't help picking up the device and slapping her. Shen Yi raised his hand to greet the camera, smiling calmly, and his eyes were gentle and firm. The bright lights around fell on her satin dress, and the flowing light was decomposed, leaving only a faint warm white halo. She looks like a heavenly fairy with a layer of halo, and she came to the world on a whim. Who is she? I've never seen this person before. Is he the dark horse newcomer of any media? Oh, my god, just standing there is eye-catching enough. If she talks again, be careful. The female staff member beside Shen Yi accidentally tripped over the red carpet. She helped her. Her voice was clear and clean, and her voice was sweet and delicate. Several reporters who were close to them instantly beat faster. This is a real fairy. At this moment, there was a small commotion from the crowd behind him, as if another influential person came. Shen Yi continued to walk on the red carpet without distraction, but the calm footsteps behind her seemed to be chasing her. Miss Shen came alone. Gore Hongyu easily caught up with her and walked slowly side by side, with a lonely and cold expression. Shen Yi still had a smile on her face, but she didn't intend to look at him directly at all. When answering the phone, she was still facing the media reporter, and there was no mistake on her delicate face, which was seen by Mr. Gore. Her ending sound has a three-point smell, which inexplicably evokes some fragments of the past in Gore Hongyu's mind. There are many fields with jackals, tigers and leopards. Miss Shen is better to follow me closely. He looked sideways at the white porcelain doll-like woman and slowly raised his slightly bent elbow. The media next to him were shocked. Is this still the cold male god of Gore's group? He not only came to attend such a commercial charity dinner, but also bent down to an unidentified mysterious goddess and signaled her to take him up. Is this really a big scene that they can see without paying? Mr. Gore really broke me. Shen Yi smiled and his eyes were bent, but the smile did not reach the bottom of his eyes. She didn't know what Gore Hongyu was thinking, but she thought of herself in the past. Shen Yi once died in the cold sea. He died in a hospital bed where it was difficult to give birth in a child in a foreign country. He died on the cold street where he almost starved to death with his child. The suffering she has suffered over the years reminds her every moment that she should not get involved with Gore Hongyu again. Just as Shen Yi turned around and was about to leave, she heard the voice coming from the staff walkie-talkie. Shengse Group entered. Shengse Group is the Qin family. Shen Yi suddenly stopped his strength and slowly turned around. Qin Xiaoling was wearing a wine-red velvet dress skirt and black lace gloves, which was very proud. Shen Yi smiled. Qin Xiaoling's dress made her suddenly think of a funny metaphor. It seems that Gore Hongyu is a Tang monk, and Qin Xiaoling is a spider spirit. As soon as he appeared, she smelled it. Thinking of this, Shen Yi couldn't help smiling. When Gore Hongyu lowered his eyes, he just caught a glimpse of this scene. His heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat. She is more beautiful than before. Chapter 6. He is allergic to tacky. The one who accompanied Qin Xiaoling was Qin Mingyi, the second son of Shengse Group. The media is very good for face and keeps taking pictures of the two of them. Qin Xiaoling originally showed herself in front of the camera, but suddenly, her just in front of the red carpet, a woman raised her soft and slender arm and gently put on Gore Hongyu's arm. Qin Xiaoling's steps were obviously stopped. The two of them stood together, as if the sun and the moon were shining, and the stars all over the sky were overlost. Even if she is enchantingly red and intoxicatingly red, she can't stop their dazzling light. She is Shen Yi. Qin Xiaoling stiffened. Before today, Qin Xiaoling and Shen Yi had not met face to face. In the 2 years when Shen Yi was a shadow lover beside Gore Hongyu, Qin Xiaoling had been abroad. Both of them have seen each other from each other's information. This is the first time to really meet. Qin Mingyi sensed something wrong with his sister and slowed down to wait for her. Is it uncomfortable? Brother, look. Qin Xiaoling took advantage of the action of tidying up her hair and trenched Qin Mingyi's arm. Qin Mingyi followed her prompts and looked away. In an instant, his eyes were deeply attracted by Shen Yi. It's the best. Where did Gore Hongyu get this kind of beauty? He is really beautiful and blessed. Brother, why is she still alive? When she looked up after saying that, Qin Xiaoling still had a delicate and flawless smile on her face, and she couldn't see any mood fluctuations. Qin Mingyi was stunned by her words. Who? Qin Xiaoling looked at him with a smile and said nothing. Qin Mingyi suddenly realized that she was the toy she used to be. Qin Xiaoling smiled more brightly and nodded with a small amplitude that others could hardly see. Well. Qin Mingyi blinked meaningfully. The brother and sister walked slowly. Qin Mingyi seemed to be dealing with the media camera, but his attention had long been fixed on Shen Yi. Sister, don't worry, after today, she will never appear beside Gore Hongyu. Qin Min said confidently. Qin Xiaoling glanced at him, and suddenly felt a chill in her heart. She knew Qin Mingyi's eyes. That's the way the hungry wolf looks at its prey. This Shen Yi actually seduced one when he saw one. It's really a born lowly embryo. After entering the banquet hall, Shen Yi let go of Guo Hongye's arm. Zhong Youlong, the Chinese CEO of GLV, came to receive Shen Yi in person. It turns out that Miss Shen and Guo always know old acquaintances. Zhong Youlong had not interacted with Guo Hongye before. Today, when he heard that Guo Hongye would come, he was still under a lot of pressure. Now seeing him and Shen Yi appear at the same time, and Shen Yi's face is full of lightness, he is invisibly influenced by her, and his heart is a little relieved. Miss Shen, Mr. Guo, this way, please. Zhong Youlong led the way. Guo Hongye deliberately took half a step slower than Shen Yi, and the bodyguard who followed them had to slow down a few steps, distancing himself from Shen Yi. At this moment, Shen Yi called Zhong Youlong and Mr. John softly. Zhong Youlong leaned over to listen. Shen Yi opened her red lips slightly and whispered to him. After that, Zhong Youlong led her to the table of the GLV executive, and took Guo Hongye to the other place where there were fewer people, and there was no table with flowers on the table. Guo Hongye didn't say anything, but put on a mask silently after sitting down. As soon as he entered the banquet hall, he felt that his throat and hair were itchy and annoying. He is born allergic, and there are too many allergens to count. Shen Yi once joked that he was allergic to tacky. Guo Hongye suddenly remembered this and thought it was very reasonable. But on the other hand, she carefully asked people to remove the flowers he hated the most, and this annoying place didn't seem to be so uncomfortable. Soon after Shen Yi sat down, Qin Mingyi sat down at the table next to her. Qin Mingyi's assistant came over with a single lens reflex. Madam, let's take a photo together. No, when Shen Yi replied, Qin Mingyi had already stood behind her chair, with his right hand on the back of her chair, only one finger away from her smooth skin. Shen Yi's dress was backless. She clearly felt the heat from Qin Mingyi's whole body, but she had no intention of avoiding it at all. She gladly agreed to the invitation to take a group photo and smiled at the camera. As soon as the group photo was over, a man passing by suddenly shook his hand, and he splashed red wine all over his body. The dress and skirt were suddenly in a mess. Sorry, I didn't mean. I. The man was in a panic. He didn't look like an invited guest, maybe he was a representative of a company. Shen Yi felt a little sorry for the high ding on his body. He frowned slightly and said nothing. Wait for me in the lounge, and I'll help you find another dress. Qin Mingyi's tone is full of domineering. Shen Yi immediately returned with a grateful look. Thank you. You are so kind. Qin Mingyi called the on-site staff to give Shen Yi a shawl and asked the assistant to escort her to the lounge. After Shen Yi left, Qin Mingyi asked someone to send Qin Xiaoling's spare dress and give it to Shen Yi in person. The lounge was not big. After Qin Mingyi went in, he saw the slender figure sitting with his back to the door, and his heart suddenly surged with evil fire. He simply turned off the light in the room, and then heard a woman's weak questioning voice in the dark. Huh. This skirt is very complicated. I'll help you put it on. Before the words were over, Qin Mingyi reached out and surrounded the petite woman. Chapter 7. Let's give it to Miss Qing, who likes leftovers. In the banquet hall, Qin Xiaoling calculated the same time, so she took the excuse of looking for her brother and got up to find Qin Mingyi. Miss Qing, Mr. Qing, he is in the lounge. Don't worry. The voice of the assistant came from outside the door. Qin Mingyi is in the process of being happy, but he is still not satisfied. Although he knew that he could only stop today, as long as he thought of Shen Yi's stunning color, it was difficult for him to suppress the evil fire in his body. What's more, she was so cooperative that she huddled in his arms with emotion, like a rebellious but thirsty little beast. Bang! Qin Xiaoling forced into the door and turned on the light ruthlessly. The dazzling light was shocked by the soft jade warmth under Qin Mingyi's body. She hugged the man in front of her tightly and hid in his arms. Qin Mingyi was so passionate that he protected people and showed his sincere impatience to Qin Xiaoling. Who taught you? Break in without knocking on the door. Am I not worried about your safety, brother? Qin Xiaoling's grievance almost couldn't suppress the smile on her mouth. Brother, is this one? Don't be afraid. I'll ask them all to go out. With that, Qin Mingyi also kissed the forehead hair of the person in his arms affectionately, with lingering in his voice. Qin Xiaoling's face was full of shock, one by one. Brother, you and Miss Shen. When did it happen? Why do you even hide it from me? She was followed by several staff members, as well as media representatives coming and going in the corridor, and Guo Hongye, who was called by Qin Xiaoling to find her brother together. The media naturally refused to miss such a big melon. At the risk of offending the boss, someone quickly picked up the camera and took a picture of the fragrance in the house. Qin Xiaoling quickly stopped it. Don't shoot. Miss Shen was originally my brother's female companion. You are violating personal privacy. If you don't want to accept the lawyer's letter, stop immediately. She observed Guo Hongye's face in the chaos and busyness, looking forward to his reaction. But just then, a pleasant female voice came to my ear. Why is Mr. Guo crowded here? Did something happen? Shen Yi, who changed into a black silk satin dress, looked at everyone in front of him with interest. Her fair and slender neck is more curvy and exquisite against the sexy dress with irregularly tied on her chest. Like a proud and independent black swan, it has seen enough of the holy light of the fairyland lake, and visits the world boldly, glaring at all sentient beings with cynical eyes. You. Qin Xiaoling is speechless. Qing Mingyi in the house didn't know the movement outside, but when he let go of the woman in his arms and saw shyness and attachment on a strange face, he felt as if he had eaten 100 flies. Who are you? I have already picked up tomorrow's news headline for you. The second son of Shensi Group was addicted to drugs and bullied the female guests at the dinner, and afterwards he said he didn't know him. Shen Yi came with his mouth. The representatives of the surrounding media were dumbfounded. How dare you come out today? In addition to the live spring palace, there are also big melons that have collapsed. Except for Guo Hongye, everyone present was shocked. And Guo Hongye was as indifferent as before, but when his eyes swept to Shen Yi again, he showed a little more unwaved appreciation. The uproar in the lounge almost covered the highlight of the charity dinner. Shen Yi was a party, but he just smiled like a swatcher. Back at home, she represented the new owner Pineapple Entertainment and took 2 paintings by artist Essie, totaling 21 million. Guo Hongye also took a 12.72-carat natural sapphire worth 24 million. After spending a lot of money, the two left the stage one after another. Guo Hongye went back to his car earlier. Luo Xun, a private doctor, was always on standby, but when he saw him, Guo Hongye just waved his hand, which was not a big problem. He took off his mask and breathed a sigh of relief. The interior of the car has been modified and equipped with the most advanced air purifier, and Guo Hongye's lung pressure is slowly released. Assistant Xu Xiao waited outside the car and saw a familiar shadow appear in the distance. He immediately took the sapphire velvet brocade box handed over to him by Guo Hongye. Miss Shen. Xu Xiao smiled. This is Mr. Guo's little intention. Shen Yi looked at this little thought worth more than 20 million yuan. The corners of his lips were slightly raised, but his body was indifferent. I gained a lot tonight. Let Mr. Guo leave this piece of thought to Miss Qing, who left early. She seems to like this kind of thing that others have played with. After saying that, she got in her own car under the escort of the GLV brand team. Xu Xiao was embarrassed and returned to the black phantom car. Half of the window in the back seat, waiting for his reply. Xu Xiao's brain was running so fast that the CPU almost burned to smoke in 0.1 seconds. What Miss Shen said scolded 2 people in one breath. Especially the allusion of Guo Hongye as something that others have played. This, how dare he learn the tongue casually? How can you not be so straightforward? Unexpectedly, Guo Hongye expected things like a god and ordered him to repeat the original words. Xu Xiao's throat rolled, his heart was hanging, and he had no choice but to repeat Shen Yi's words. Then take it back to the manor and put it up first. Anyway, the treasure saved is not limited to this one. Let's accept it for your wife in the future. Yes. Chapter 8. The sky is about to collapse. Late at night, the Qing family. Bang. A crisp slap in the face of Qing Mingyi. He was already confused, awake for a moment, chaotic for a moment, but now he is even more confused after being slapped by his father. What on earth happened tonight? Shouldn't everything be in his control? How did she do it? I have taught you what you can do and what you can't do since you were a child. What's important about the grades? Reputation is what our Qing family values most. But what about you? Not only did you not take my words to heart, but you touched the things you shouldn't have touched, but you also let outsiders know. Qin's father reprimanded severely. Master, Yi was just confused for a moment. How could he not listen to you? The child is so old. How can you beat him like this? With that, Mrs. Qin bent down to help Qing Mingyi. Don't get used to him. Qin's father shouted harshly, kneel down. Kneel up straight. Qin Xiaoling frowned and coquettishly helped persuade, Dad. Tonight it was obviously the second brother who was deliberately arranged by others. He was already wronged enough. How dare you open your mouth? Qin's father turned his face and stared at Qing Xiaoling fiercely. Don't think I don't know that only your second brother was invited to this dinner. You should follow him. What are you drawing? How many times has Dad told you? You and Guo Hongye are lifelong friends, which is the best. Don't forget that you are already married. I hope you can remember your second brother's lesson today. When she grew up so big, Qing Xiaoling was yelled at by her father for the first time. Her nose and hair were sore. And the grievances she suffered, together with the shame of the second brother at this moment, are all given by Shen Yi, that bitch. This time, she underestimated the enemy. In those years, she escaped from danger, but she didn't die, and she dared to swing in front of her eyes again. She should have thought that this woman came back to collect debts. Come to Japan for a long time. Let's see whose wrist is harder. The next day, the report of the GLV charity dinner dominated the screen. In the report, the whole article is full of comments on the male and female stars attending the dinner, but there is no news about Shen Yi and Guo Hongye. Guo Hongye has always been used to being invisible in this kind of manuscript, but this time he asked Shen Yi to hide with him. In addition, all the reports do not mention Shaoso Group. Not to mention the amazing title arranged by Shen Yi for the media. It is expected not to be exposed. Shengsu Group cherishes feathers. How can such a big scandal be known to the whole world? On the way to the company, Shan Yi said on the phone with someone. I was curious about how much money they spent. There are 2 media under your command alone. 7 or 8 media outlets have such a big melon. They say that they have to spend hundreds of millions to level it, right? The other party laughed happier than her, and the black material of the second son of the Qin family was coaxed to a sky-high price. Little guy, your hands are so dark that you can catch up with me. Shen Yi's red thin lips are slightly raised, like a dark night witch who eats marrow and knows the taste. She said slowly, it's none of my business. After careful investigation, it is still thanks to the no one in the Shangxi group over the years, rampant and domineering, and has made countless enemies. Amount people are waiting for the opportunity to defeat them. In order to steal these evidences, they are willing to pay high prices and compete for each other, and the price will be high. The woman on the other end of the phone took a sip of coffee and had to thank Miss Qing. If she hadn't rushed to sing for you, you wouldn't have been satisfied so quickly. When it comes to Qin Xiaoling, Shen Yi's eyes instantly became cold and terroring. After 6 years, she still doesn't grow up. Her methods are leftovers when you were young. Shen Yi snorted coldly, which was not enough to see at all. Since it's a stupid dog, just take a walk and play. Anyway, she is domineering, and the Qing family should pay for it. The person on the other end of the phone laughed. Halfway through the laugh, he suddenly remembered something and changed his attitude. When it comes to money, I'm going to scold you. There were so many things worth shooting at the dinner yesterday. Why did you have to take pictures of the 2 ugly things I drew with my feet? Shen Yi silently took the mobile phone away from his ear and saved the eardrums that were almost pierced. After her good sister Ash finished outputting, she looked at the scene outside the car window, restrained her smile and said, I'm about to arrive at the company. Let's talk later. Call me back as soon as you finish choosing a newcomer. I also want to talk to you about little oranges and grapes. Speaking of children, Ash suppressed his anger a little, as if someone was checking our baby grapes. At the same time, Xi Xiao also happened to be saying the name of Little Grape to Guo Hongyu. Miss Shen has a child named Little Grape abroad. Xu Xiao reported she is a mixed-race girl, 4 years old. This information was fresh and hot. When he heard it, he was shocked and terrified. The pressure was as great as the retelling of Shang Yi's words last night. Xu Xiao followed Guo Hongyu for 9 years, and he naturally saw that the president's attitude towards Shang Yi was extraordinary. But if he knew that the woman he had been looking forward to day and night gave birth to another child with someone else abroad, would he be furious? Xu Xiao foreshed that the sky at the top of the senior was about to collapse. Chapter 9 What are you pulling? Guo Hongye pinched the photo presented by Xi Xiao and stared at it for a long time. The little girl in the photo has fair skin, black hair and brown pupils, extremely high eyebrow bones and nose bones, and eyelashes look like a doll. She held Shen Yi's hand tightly and was not afraid at all in the international show full of stars. How did a 4-year-old villain practice this kind of aura? The most important thing is that she is still a little princess. Xu Xiao observed Guo Hongye's ever-changing eyes and always felt that he should say something. Otherwise, in case the president is angry, how can he express it to Mr. Guo? President, I will immediately investigate this little girl in depth. What is she doing? Guo Hongyu is quite dissatisfied with Xi Xiao's recent work ability. She is just a child. Xu Xiao was suddenly speechless. His brain turned quickly. This time he learned to answer. Miss Shen had never held a wedding abroad, and there was no fixed partner around her. But what I have learned so far, what do you mean by no fixed partner? Guo Hongyu opened it word by word and asked slowly. It is probably related to Miss Shen's work as an agent and producer abroad. Xu Xiaoyi explained carefully, most of her star artists are men. At present, she has become a popular idol actor who has become a national idol in T country. She has had a 2-month special training for the devil under Miss Shen. Seeing that Guo Hongye's expression did not change much, Xi Xiao dared to continue to say, foreign media will take pictures of Miss Shen and some male artists walking together from time to time, but there is no the behavior of Jew crossing the boundary, even if there is gossip, is still gossip. The whole article is written by looking at pictures, which is purely an imaginary composition. Guo Hongyu seems to smile but doesn't smile. Xu Xiao, do you remember who you are working for? Xu Xiao's back is straight. All right, get busy. After saying that, Guo Hongye's eyes returned to the photo of Shen Yi and Xiao Grape. The small grape looks very distinctive, that is, it is not half the same as Shen Yi. However, it doesn't matter whether she is Shen Yi's own daughter. As long as she is Shen Yi's child, she will be his child in the future. Guo Hongye has always wanted a daughter, but he doesn't know who to want with. At present, this wish seems to have come true automatically. Pineapple Entertainment. Shen Yi called the driver to stop the car on the roadside more than 200 meters away from the company. Today is her first day at work, and she doesn't want to ride this Rolls-Royce. Sometimes if you keep a low profile, it is easier to hear the real voice. It is not easy to take over the new team. For young companies, small traumas are not paid attention to in time. When the ulcer becomes a pustule, it will be too late and unable to return to heaven. Shen Yi didn't want to make such a vain mistake. Today, she is wearing a light purple-grey customized suit, and her hair is tied into a casual low ponytail, which is simple, quiet and skillful. Just a few steps away, when she passed the bus stop, she was suddenly stopped. Shen Yi looked back and saw a young girl dressed in a peach-red little fragrant-style commuting suit. It's a little familiar. Is it her cousin? Why don't you recognize me? Shen Sijia stepped on the 10 centimeters wine glass and walked towards her with high heels. A pair of affectionate peach blossom eyes looked up and down at her. Sister Yi has changed a lot. It seems that she has been doing well in the past few years. 2 days ago, I heard from Sister Shen that you came back and wanted to meet. I didn't expect to meet you here. On the way, where are you going? Go to work. Shen Yi pointed to the detached building in front of him with his eyes, raised his wrist to take a look at the time, and said indifferently, I'm almost late. I'll see you next time. Wait, Sister Yi. Shen Sijia deliberately detoured in front of Shen Yi to block her way. Did you go to work in Pineapple Entertainment? What position? I'm really in a hurry. Shen Yi pointed to Shen Sijia's mobile phone hanging in front of her with a pompous mobile phone rope. I know your number and will contact you later. With that, he quickly bypassed her, strode away, and left the haunting Shen Sijia behind. Shen Sijia was wearing high heels and couldn't catch up with Shen Yi. In addition, it was the rush hour at work. People came and went, and it was not convenient for her to shout at Shen Yi. What are you talking about? Isn't it just making some money by being a mistress? It also makes you feel superior. Shen Sijia called her cousin Shen Lingxin to complain. Sister Shen, I met Shen Yi in Modu. She was very good. She said she was going to work in a big company, and she didn't like me very much. On the other hand, although Shen Yi threw the person away, she was still thinking about Shen Sijia. I haven't seen her for several years. Her cousin has indeed changed a lot. 6 years ago, in Shen Yi's impression, Shen Sijia was just a pure and social-phobic female college student, with one eyelid, big eyes, goose egg face with a little baby fat, a round nose and a small nose. Her appearance was dull, but she was very personal. In the blink of an eye, Shen Sijia turned into double eyelids, a small upturned nose, and a melon face. The original figure of Yima Pingchuan also rose to the Yi cup. Good-looking is good-looking, but Shen Yi felt that there was no need to fix it. Her face has more or less the smell of assembly line mass production. No wonder Shen Yi recognized it even if he didn't look at it. It's still as good as before. It's a pity. According to the work plan, Shen Yi has 2 important meetings this morning. But I don't know who designed the office building. Shen Yi couldn't find the conference room smoothly. She had to call Gao Xiao. It was originally scheduled to be in the middle hall, but for some reason, Mr. Liao suddenly changed to the large conference hall 10 minutes ago. Gao Xiao frowned slightly and quickly showed Shen Yi the way while looking through the cloud office records with a tablet computer. Chapter 10 let her know what rules are. Before Shen Yi returned to China, Pineapple Entertainment had always been managed by Mr. Liao and Liao Minghua, who was mentioned by Gao Xiao. Liao Minghua has made remarkable achievements in the circle in the past. It was Ash who was introduced by others and was sure that Liao Minghua was really talented, so he didn't hesitate to dig her up at a high price. However, Pineapple Entertainment has been established for a year, and the quality of its artists is uneven. Ash is a person who is used to only looking at the results and not the details. Before Shen Yi came back, she felt that Pineapple Entertainment's performance was not good, and planned to let Shen Yi see if there was any salvation. If she can't be saved, she will turn around and sell it cheaply. She is too lazy to lose money. Therefore, Shen Yi is currently airdropped to the company as CEO. She is sure that her phone number is already in the company's internal address book. If the meeting address is changed, the cloud office system will notify her. Even if there are omissions in the system, she has pulled a group before, and the management of all departments is in the group. She didn't see anyone say to change the address. Shen Yi suppressed his doubts and followed Gao Xiao to the door of the conference hall. When the meeting assistant saw Shen Yi, he reminded him with a smile, "You are late. Mr. Liao has started the meeting. Please wait a moment. I'll go, no need." With that, Shen Yi opened the door and walked in. Last quarter, we were interrupted halfway by Liao Minghua's words, stopped, and stared at Shen Yi with slightly cold eyes. The moment he saw Shen Yi, Liao Minghua had to admit that this woman was really good looking. If she is determined to enter the entertainment industry, I don't know how many people will be washed away and can't eat a mouthful of hot rice. Thinking of this, Liao Minghua's eyes couldn't help squinting. Shen Yi, I'm afraid it's because of this face that he got such an airdrop opportunity. In the end, it's nothing more than a canary raised by the boss. She doesn't care what Shen Yi is doing with others. But now, Shen Yi is her subordinate, and she, Liao Minghua, is the real person of Pineapple Entertainment. Today, I have to let her know what the rules are. Didn't Miss Shin read the company's rules and regulations? Those who are late are not allowed to break into the conference hall without permission. They need to wait for approval to enter. Liao Minghua said loudly. Shen Yi nodded gently and sat down in the nearest position. She didn't refute Liao Minghua, and even seemed to feel that others were looking at her, so she easily integrated into the atmosphere of the meeting. Liao Minghua readjusted his breathing and continued to make a quarterly summary. Everyone picked up paper and pens one after another, wrote hard, and was busy recording. And Shen Yi came empty-handed and became the out of position. Liao Minghua took all these into his eyes, and the speed of flipping through the PPT was a little faster than before. After talking with a lot of data, Liao Minghua habitually told people to summarize. The participants all dodged as if they were afraid of being named by the teacher. After Liao Minghua glanced around, his eyes quickly fell on Shen Yi. I heard that Miss Shen is a leader in the industry abroad. I think you have a meeting. If you don't take notes, it must be because of your memory. Why don't you summarize the main problems of the company in the last quarter? Liao Minghua said. I'm a newcomer, and I still need to learn more. Mr. Liao should ask other colleagues to express their opinions. Shen Yi smiled. Liao Minghua hummed in his heart. I didn't expect you to spit out ivory in your mouth. Forget it. So many people are watching. If she catches Shen Yi and squeezes it endlessly and spreads it out, others will have to say that she doesn't take care of the newcomer. Anyway, as long as she knows that Shen Yi is a straw bag, she will have a chance to let her know the difficulties and retreat. That's okay. Which one of you will speak first? Liao Minghua focused on other people again. After the morning meeting, Liao Minghua was in a good mood, drinking iced Americano while checking his email. The assistant sent her the document and said, "This is what Mr. Shen asked me to bring to you." Did Shen Yi bring it? Liao Minghua restrained a little smile, took the folder unhappily, frowned and saw that it was written on it, "These are several specific data errors in your PPT." Liao Minghua suddenly tightened his scalp. She did modify some of the data, such as deliberately lowering the media attention of small artists, so as to put pressure on the agency department to stimulate them to come up with more new plans to promote popular artists. But how did Shen Yi know? The more Liao Minghua looked down, the more confused he became. Shen Yi not only marked the different data in every part of her PPT, but also sorted out in detail the deviations in the data, which may affect the company. Liao Minghua skipped these and saw the end. If you don't mind, Mr. Liao, I would like to check your analysis report on the last quarter. The words are not warm. But Liao Minghua seemed to see a Shen Yi coming out of the ice and snow through this line of words. Cold sweat welled down her forehead. Only then did Liao Minghua realize that Shen Yi didn't really have nothing to say during the meeting, but just didn't want to point out her little actions in public. Chapter 11. It turned out that you looked at your mother like this. After the morning meeting, Shen Yi interviewed the newly signed artists of the company according to the schedule. Because the last batch of contracted artists have made a development plan, her insisting on intervening will only make Liao Minghua more uneasy and not conducive to the harmony of the team, so Shen Yi focused on the latest people. These new artists are selected by major film and television schools. Boys are relatively humble, and girls are inexplicably proud. Shen Yi didn't comment on them on the spot, but after the first round of interviews, they returned home with the recorded video of the whole process and their personal profiles. Shen Yi likes to work from home. Because there is her secret weapon hidden at home that outsiders don't know. When Shen Yi entered the door, Shen Jingchen was staying in the large reading corner of the living room. The semicircular open study is specially designed for this little baby who loves reading. However, the difference from the past is that although Shen Jingchen is in the reading corner, what he has in front of him is not a book, but a laptop. His cute little hands skillfully manipulated the keyboard, as if he were a pianist, performing movements that resonated strongly with his soul. When did my son type so fast? Shen Yi changed his shoes in surprise and felt guilty at the same time. If it hadn't been for her busy schedule during this period, she couldn't have ignored her son's changes. Mommy. Hearing the movement, Shen Jingchen immediately closed the computer neatly. You came back so early today. You didn't skip work secretly, did you? Shen Yi was stunned for a moment, and then deliberately curled his lips arrogantly. It turned out that you always looked at your mother like this. Shen Jingchen touched his nose at will, and then trotted to the kitchen. Mommy, are you thirsty? Pour me some water. The little guy came over with a well-behaved face, as if waiting for Shen Yi's praise. Shen Yi's heart was about to messify when he saw the child's cute little appearance. She always felt that her son was different from before, but she couldn't say it, so she took this opportunity to hold the little guy in her arms and let him sit on the sofa with her. Mom is going to choose new artists again and customize the exclusive plan for them to become big stars. Shen Yi gently touched the tip of his son's nose with his fingertips, and his tone was drizzling. I know that our baby's eyesight is better than that of Arsh's godmother, so my mother sincerely invites the baby to read the interview materials of the newcomer brothers and sisters with me later, okay? After several seconds, she didn't hear her son's answer. Shen Yi couldn't help thinking, did Little Orange encounter something unhappy today? Shen Jingcheng is too sensible, so sometimes he is very thoughtful. Shen Yi reviewed his recent life. Except for adapting to the new house and the children practicing getting along with their grandmother, everything seems to be the same as before. Could it be that there is something wrong with this old and young man? Where is Grandma? Shen Yi asked. I'm taking a nap. The doctor came to check in the morning and said that Grandma's physical indicators were very good. Shen Jingcheng answered this question cheerfully. Shen Yi was even more puzzled. Why is our little orange unhappy? It's not that I'm unhappy. Shen Jingcheng avoided Shen Yi's eyes, and his heart was ups and downs. Before Shen Yi wanted to ask anything more, the little guy suddenly covered his stomach and said, Do you have a stomachache? I'm going to the bathroom. After saying that, Shen Jingcheng ran away quickly. Shen Yi was worried and got up to find the housekeeper. The housekeeper's name is Yun Yi, in his 40s, majoring in hotel management, with a master's degree. He wears gold-rimmed glasses, and his suit is meticulous all year round. Yun Yi, as well as the new home of Huashan Mansion, as well as the drivers and bodyguards of the family, were all picked out by Aisha. On the first day of living in, Shen Yi was also worried that Ash's habit of looking only on his face in everything would attract some unreliable people. But in the past 2 days, Yun Yi dispelled Shen Yi's concerns with his rigorous and professional working attitude. Usually, Yun Yi is in his room. After receiving the news from Shen Yi, he immediately came to the living room. Does Little Orange have a stomachache? I'll contact the doctor right away, Yun Yi said. Shen Yi raised his hand to stop it, but he was not in a hurry. I see that his face is rosy, so it shouldn't be a big problem. When Grandma gets up from lunch break later, you can ask her if she has any stomach upset. If Grandma is okay, the little orange probably doesn't have abdominal pain caused by food. Did he kick the quilt at night before? If this happens, I will set an alarm clock 3 times a night and get up to check the sleep of little orange, Yun Yi said. No need, no. Shen Yi laughed. I'm not so delicate in raising a baby, and the little orange is not so delicate. Don't be too nervous. It's all what I should do. The two were chatting, and Shen Jingchen finally came out of the room. This time, he looks more confident. Mommy, are you talking about me? I'm fine. I'm probably gluttonous at noon, so I have a little indigestion and have a stomachache. Shen Jingchen is in a hurry to turn over his physical affairs. Let's watch the interview video. Chapter 12. They have to bite 2 pieces of your meat. Hello, teachers, I'm a new actor. The interview video was broadcast for less than 5 minutes, and Shen Yi heard an even snoring sound in his arms. Is this newcomer too boring? Shen Yi laughed, wrapped a small quilt for his son, and continued to watch. When the video was about to finish, Shen Jingcheng woke up. He blinked his wet eyes and looked a little sad. Did you have an unhappy dream? Shen Yi held the child tighter. Shen Jingcheng shook his head, and he couldn't say that he was unhappy. Well, he dreamed of an adult he didn't know. I'm going to take the hand-drawn board and draw it. As soon as the words fell, the little guy lifted the quilt in turn and ran back to the room again. When he came out again, there was an extra portrait on the tablet in his hand. Let Mom see, our little orange dreamed. Shen Yi's words suddenly stopped. The person he drew. Why does he look so much like Guo Hongye? Mommy, do you know him? Shen Jingcheng raised his head and asked seriously. Shen Yi must have calmed down. She thought that this question should not be a lie. Otherwise, she will have to use countless lies to make up today's lies. But how to answer so as not to arouse the child's curiosity to explore deeply? Shen Yi pretended to be calm and replied, I've seen it. But I haven't seen him. How could I dream of him? Shen Jingcheng held the drawing board, tilted his head and said to himself. Just then, Yun Yi came over. He avoided Shen Jingcheng and whispered to Shen Yi, the old lady seems to have quarreled with someone else on the phone. Okay. Shen Yi handed a handful of small oranges to Ye Yi. Taking this opportunity, he hurried upstairs with a little sense of running away. Grandma Shen's door was not locked. Shen Yi knocked twice before pushing the door in. Grandma Shen sat on the edge of the bed and was really angry. Obviously, she was not in a good mood. What's the matter, Grandma? Shen Yi saw the old man frowning and subconsciously worried about her health. Grandma Shen dragged her upstairs and said angrily when she entered the room, Your uncle and third uncle have come to the devil's capital. They went to your father and asked him to clean you up. I just took a nap, and they kept calling me endlessly. Speaking of anger, Grandma Shen threw the elderly machine aside and said in annoyance, I don't think I can stay with you. If they really find you and see that you are doing so well, how can they stop if they don't bite off your 2 pieces of meat? Shen Yi paused, and then couldn't help laughing. Laugh. You still laugh out loud. Grandma Shen pinched Shen Yi fiercely. You really don't know how much trouble it is. Shen Yi smiled and shook his head. How can I not understand? It's just that I didn't expect Grandma to say that to them. I know what kind of thing I gave birth to. Grandma Shen didn't go around in circles with Shen Yi, and said directly, they are neither looking for you nor looking for me, they just want money. Did they ask you for medical expenses as soon as they met last time? Shen Yi didn't answer, but just caressed Grandma Shen's back. I guessed it even if you didn't say it. They will definitely do it. Humph, I didn't spend money on hospitalization, and I didn't spend much money on the treatment and examination. Their brothers already had red eyes, and they both married some daughter-in-laws with small belly and chicken intestines. Day by day, they all got into the money. Grandma Shen's heart is cold. Unlike Grandma, Shen Yi doesn't care about these relatives. They didn't take her into his eyes, and so did she. She doesn't care about them, and she won't be moved by them. But she didn't want to see Grandma so painful, so she grabbed a strange point in Grandma's words just now and asked, "Are you an old lady who deliberately pretends to be sick and can fully reimburse the cost of hospitalization?" What is reimbursed? It is confiscated by the hospital. Grandma Shen has a good word. The dean of that hospital must be a good man with a bodhisattva's heart. Shen Yi couldn't smile. When she picked up her grandmother before, she wondered why the Shen family was willing to let her stay in such a good private hospital. After a long time, did Grandma get the free welfare bed in the hospital? Or, they claim that the hospital bed is free, but this part of the expenditure is included in the cost of diagnosis and treatment. That's why the uncle and the third uncle are worried about the little money. Okay, no more verbose. Hurry up and buy me a ticket. I'll go back today and let them stay here as jumping clowns. Grandma Shen had a hot temper and said she would leave. Shen Yi deliberately sank his face. Shen Yi's eyes suddenly became cold, but she was still kind to Grandma. You are not allowed to go anywhere. I made an appointment with a dentist for you to fill your teeth tomorrow and do a comprehensive examination. While talking, Grandma Shen's old age machine rang again. Shen Yi grabbed it and hung up the phone. If they want to find me, let them find me. It seems that you can really find me. She was going to turn off the power directly, but was stopped by Grandma Shen. Do you really think they can't do anything? If the computer is turned off, they will definitely call the police and say that I am missing, and you will be in more trouble at that time. Seeing that he couldn't be persuaded, Shen Yi broke the cauldron and said, "Well, give me my father's number and I'll call him." Chapter 13. The young master seems to have lost weight again recently. Grandma Shen didn't say anything. She doesn't say that her second son is a scumbag who abandons his wife and daughter, but she knows it in her heart. If Shen Wang hadn't been a shopkeeper in his early years as a father, Yi would not have gone astray and become a little lover of a rich boss. In the first year of Shen Yi's disappearance, many people went to their hometown to make trouble. Laugh at her, saying that she was mean, and even more unpleasant. At that time, Shen Wang was still angry to death, saying that when he found Shen Yi, he would break her leg. But before Shen Wang could find Shen Yi, he was first beaten out of the house by Grandma Shen with a broom. If you don't teach, it's the father's fat. You are the most shameless one. Why do you shout louder than anyone else? Despite the passage of time, Grandma Shen knew that the thorns that grew in the hearts of their father and daughter had not disappeared. In particular, Shen Yi took the initiative to bow to Shen Wang. Grandma Shen was wronged and uncomfortable for her granddaughter just thinking about it. Don't call him. We didn't do anything wrong. Don't be wronged. Grandma Shen snatched back her elderly machine. There must be a break, Grandma. Shen Yi's tone is extremely firm. Night falls, and the lanterns are on. The lights in Go's manor were bright. Go Eunhwa sat cross-legged in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, wrapped in a small blanket with orange patterns, and was alone. Young master, it's time to eat. Uncle Wang, the housekeeper, came to remind. Is Dad back? Go Eunhwa twisted his little head and looked a little lonely. Uncle Wang was about to shake his head, and suddenly a noise came from the direction of the hall behind him. Immediately, he heard the voice of other servants greeting the master, and immediately smiled and came back. Yes. The little guy seemed to come back to life in an instant. He threw away the small blanket and ran downstairs with a cigarette. Young master, wait, you haven't put on your shoes yet. Uncle Wang carried a pair of small slippers shaped like the soles of his feet and chased after them with a spoiled smile helplessly. Go Eunhwa ran to Go Hongye in one breath. As usual, Go Eunhwa will suddenly break suddenly, stand up, and say coldly, "You're back." It seems that seeing Go Hongye is not a big deal. It seems that the person who just greeted his father at a 100-meter sprint speed was not him. Go Hongye felt that such a son was very cute. He was just a reduced version of himself. However, today's Go Eunhwa made Go Hongye a little overwhelmed. The little guy ran to him and just paused, and then suddenly jumped in place and rushed to his waist. Go Hongye subconsciously stretched out his arm to hold the child. But Go Eunhwa didn't jump high, so he fell faster than Go Hongye predicted. When the action was decided, Go Eunhwa did not succeed in hugging his father's waist, but hung on Go Hongye's thigh like a koala. Go Eunhwa. Go Hongye. Uncle Wang, who chased him, couldn't help laughing and handed Go Eunhwa's small slippers. Young master, please help him put them on. It's easy to catch a cold if you only wear socks to run at home. After the beginning of spring, Go's manor closed the full heating system. Only the place where Go Eunhwa often stays will continue to be open. Because he was malnourished during the fetus, he immediately lost breast milk at birth and caught a cold, so he was sick a lot when he was a child. Several times, Go Eunwo's life was on the line, which scared the Go family so that they couldn't eat well and couldn't sleep at night. Fortunately, in these years, under the careful care of Go's parents, Go Eunwo has been getting stronger year by year. Although it doesn't look fleshy, it is nutritious and not easy to get sick. This is already the best. But recently, it seems that I have suddenly lost weight again. The servants at home are very careful. How long do you want to hang on your father? Go Hongyu asked with tears and laughter. Go Eunwo was a little embarrassed. He followed his father's long legs and slid on his lap. The little guy's eyes are a little floating, as if he has some guilty little secret. Dad, let me show you something. After Go Hongyu waited for him to let go, he bent his knees and squatted down, putting on small slippers for his son with his own hands. As soon as he looked up, Go Eunwo took a photo, looked at him in front of him, and asked, Dad, who is this? Go Hongyu fixed his eyes. In the photo, Shan Yi is as bright as the moon. Chapter 14. When is the best time? She took his arm, and the two of them were as intimate as a pair of tightly seamed puzzles. Surrounded by the magnesium lamp, she was smiling, and he was looking at her. They dressed up to attend, as if they were at the wedding scene. This picture is really good. He also likes it very much. When he first saw it 2 days ago, he ordered Xu Xiao to give the reporter an extra reward. However, it has been bought out by Xu Xiao, and it is impossible to flow out. So, where did you get your son? Go Hongyu's eyebrows are 3 points colder than just now. Did you look through your father's mailbox? He asked. Go Eunwo's eyes swung several ripples. The little guy was obviously afraid of his father's majesty, but he seemed to be able to hold on. The father and son confronted each other, and he didn't lose the battle for a second. Go Eunwo even raised his chin up and asked righteously, Can you introduce me to this fairy sister? I like her very much. Go Hongyu did not answer his son's question. While the father and son had dinner together, he didn't pay much attention to the child's reaction. He obviously realized that somewhere in his heart was disturbed by this sudden photo. Become disorderly and chaotic. Go Hongyu is used to acting according to his own pace and plan. If other people break in and interfere rudely, he will definitely let the other party see his tough hand without mercy. However, in the face of Go Eunwo's raid, he was helpless. Those who are fierce, decisive and selfless in front of their children fail. After dinner, Go Hongyu called his little aunt. The younger aunt, Go Royao, is actually only 2 years older than Go Hong. This is an erotic seed planted by his grandfather many years ago. However, when Go Hongyu lost his parents at a young age and was lonely in his childhood, thanks to Go Royao, a like-minded playmate, he brought a lot of strange colors to his grey background in life. However, Go Royao has always been rebellious and obedient. She has always taken Go Eunwo to do big disasters and small disasters, crazily testing the bottom line of the Go family led by Mr. Go and challenging authority. Go Hongyu felt that Go Eunwo's knowingly peeping at his mailbox this time was probably instigated by Go Royao. Therefore, he has to be clear with her. When the phone call came, Miss Go Royao was investing in the Hot Spring Hotel and enjoying high-end spa services. Seeing the name on the caller ID, she deliberately left him for a long time before answering. What's the matter, little nephew? There is a small smile hidden in Go Suyao's stubborn voice. Go Hongyu asked coldly, what nonsense did you talk about with Nwanwo? As soon as Go Royao heard the tone of Xingxi's questioning, she hung up without even bringing back the words. Do busy voice represents Go Royao's uneasy attitude, as if he had punched Go Hongyu on his eardrums. Go Hongyu. Being suppressed by the generation, even a person like Go Hongyu, who is not afraid of heaven and earth, can't fight his little aunt. Go Hongyu called Go Royao again. This time, after 3 consecutive calls, Go Royao was willing to answer. She put her slender index finger against her temple and said angrily, when you ask for someone, please speak well and don't think that everyone is your employee. Obviously, you are at fault first, but you are still righteous. Go Hongyu was laughed angrily. What did I do wrong? How can I talk nonsense with Nono? Isn't it just asking him to look through your mailbox? As for you in such a hurry. Go Royao rolled her eyes fiercely. Go Hongyu said indifferently, he saw Shen Yi's photo. That's when you took a picture with his mother first, and he saw this photo. Go Royao has no intention of repentance, and even has the smell of getting worse. If I have to say, you have to blame yourself for this matter. Who let you give birth to such a smart baby? He was born to be a hacker. As long as he wants, the whole world has no secrets in front of him. I'm not in the mood to laugh with you. Go Hongyu said with a straight look, now is not the best time for him to see Shan Yi. Oh, so when is the best time? Go Royao is not only not afraid of Go Hongyu like others, but her favorite thing to see is his hair. How about waiting for her to disappear again? Chapter 15 in case she doesn't feel at ease at all. This time, it was Go Hongyu's turn to hang up the phone speechlessly. Go Royao held back her smile and sent him a WeChat message to explain. I didn't tell Nono that it was his mother. If he tries to test your tongue, it means that he guessed it himself. After reading the news, Go Hongyu put down his mobile phone silently. He stood by the viewing balcony on the second floor, looking at the lake and mountains in the distance, and was alone. Even if Go Royale doesn't explain, he believes that although his little aunt is a little rebellious, she is still very measured in business. She will not interfere in his decision easily, let alone make arbitrary claims. However, now that the answer has been confirmed, Go Hongyun is a little distressed when he thinks that his son mentions Shen Yi. His eyes are full of little stars. He lost the love of his parents a long time ago, and he could better than anyone else how his son desperately wanted his mother. However, Shen Yi has become more uncontrollable than before. From the charity dinner alone, her thunderous tactics are enough to show her current danger. Who knows whether she is willing to accept this son? What if she doesn't care about the child at all? How sad he would be if Nono knew the truth. Shen Yi had a bad night. His father, Shen Wang, offered to meet, and Shen Yi agreed. Shen Yi didn't mention the Audi she bought herself, so she decided to go out temporarily. In order not to attract the high attention of other people in the Shen family, she definitely couldn't drive a Maybach, so she had to call an online car to pick her up. Shen Wang and she made an appointment at the small cafe he invested in. Late at night, the cafe is no longer open to the public, and the overtime employees only serve their families. The three brothers of the Shen family have been waiting here for a long time, and Shen Yi appeared 15 minutes later than the agreed time. As soon as they met, the third uncle of the Shen family sneered sharply. What a big deal. How dare you let the elders wait? Call people out in the middle of the night and ask for punctual arrival. Next time I come to play, I'll see if the third uncle can be on call. Shen Yi sat down with a chill. Shen Dongkul didn't like her appearance the most, and couldn't help shouting, is this the attitude of talking to the elders? Because the elders rarely talk to me, I don't know what attitude to use. In the words of the ancients, it is the father's fate if the son does not teach. What do you think? When he said the last sentence, Shen Yi turned his eyes to Shen Wang. The leader of the late-night game hasn't even opened his mouth since she came in. Shen Yi couldn't help echoing in his ears. When his mother was alive, he would say to himself from time to time, I know that he is not a taciturn person. He just does this to me. Everyone outside praised him, so when they heard that we were not in harmony, they only thought it was my problem. Shen Yi and Shen Wang know very little about each other. Most of the only little was inherited from my mother. She never thought about it. When I wanted to forgive the man who abandoned his wife and daughter, I didn't think that he would still ask me out, but he was dumb all the way. Until she pointed the spearhead at him. After Shen Yi's reminder, the uncle and third uncle of the Shen family also realized Shen Wang's excessive silence. Obviously, he said that he would educate Shen Yi well. Why didn't he say a word when she arrived? Second brother, don't you have something to say to Shen Yi? Uncle Shen urged. Shen Wang lighted a cigarette and frowned slightly. In the smoke, he reluctantly said, why didn't you bring grandma out with you? Chapter 16, are you doing your old job again? Shen Yi was angry when he heard it. He glanced at Shen Wang. The weather was suddenly warm and cold. Her old man's health was not good. Should I take her out to blow the north wind and drink dew? Shen Yi. Shen third uncle gritted his teeth and looked like he saw through everything. You just intend to blackmail our grandmother. I warn you, if you don't take good care of your grandmother, you will take full responsibility. I can take full responsibility, provided that you don't disturb her old woman's rest every time. Shen Yi knocked on the marble table lightly with his white jade-like fingertips, and I put it here. If anyone has no moderator and annoys her at any time, I will blacklit him with grandma's mobile phone. You. Shen Sanshu was so angry that his fingers trembled. Just then, the jingling of wind chimes came from the door of the cafe. It's Shen Sizia who came. As soon as she came, she saw that her father was very angry with Shen Yi and trotted over in a hurry. Dad, are you okay? Why are you blushing like this? Who is angry with you? Who else can be there? Shen Sanshu stared at Shen Yi. Shen Sizia was aggrieved, and her face wrinkled into a ball. Sister Yi, I know it's great to know that you joined a big company like Pineapple Entertainment, but it's not that even the elders in the family don't care about it, right? Pineapple Entertainment? What company? What are you doing? Uncle Shen half squinted, as if he remembered something bad in the past. He immediately turned his face to Shen Yi again. Are you doing your job again? The 3 words old are like a loud slap in the face. He hit Shen Wang's face hard. He took a hard breath of the cigarette, swallowing the clouds and spitting the fog, and gradually raised his father's appearance. Take this opportunity today, please make your work content clear to everyone. Ordinary staff, monthly salary of 4,000, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 2 days off. Shen Yi smiled as if she had welded a mask on her face, and several people who gave way to her were uncomfortable. It's only 4,000. Seeing that you were in such a hurry in the morning, I thought it was a very important position. With that, Shen Sizia showed a little distressed look. Sister, you are not ugly. Why don't you come to our company as an anchor? It doesn't matter if you are not familiar with it. You can start as an anchor assistant first, with a monthly salary of 7,000. But you have to follow me to learn well in the future. Yes, you'd better find a decent job. Uncle Shen showed the attitude of avoiding roadside garbage again. Sujia is now a female anchor with 850,000 fans, earning nearly 20,000 yuan a month. Be modest and study hard. 850,000 fans. Earn 20,000 yuan a month? Shen Yi was a little suspicious that his uncle was Shen Sujia's black fan head. What's worth bragging about at this level? But Uncle Shen really regarded Shen Sujia as a treasure. He turned his head and said to Shen Sujia, "Your sister Shen also wants to change her job recently, and you should also introduce her." Just as Shen Yi was about to laugh out loud, Shen Hua straightened his face to teach her. "I'm going to get down to business with you. Have you listened? With an income of 4,000 yuan a month, it's hard for you to support yourself, right? How can I raise my grandmother?" Shen Wang calculated an account for Shen Yi again. "Where do you live now? How much is the rent? Even if you live in a remote place, a small single room costs more than 1,000 yuan a month, right? I also need to consider eating and taking a bus. What are you going to do if your grandmother gets sick?" Shen Yi hooked his lips, just like uncle and third uncle. "As long as grandma is sick, even if she has a slight cold, she has to beat the gongs and drums to inform you, which is convenient for you to transfer money." Shen Yi. This time, Shen Sanshu couldn't stand it anymore. He raised his hand and fanned at Shen Yi. Even if Shen Yi was prepared in the morning, he would still be hit in the hair by this gust of palm wind. A strand of hair was raised and thrown into Shen Yi's eyes, poking her eyes. She closed her eyes instinctively. When she opened it again, the whole world was dark. Chapter 17. Can I eat people? Shen Yi thought he was blind in a trance. Fortunately, Uncle Shen was a man who couldn't hide his words. He asked in panic, "Why did the power suddenly go out?" He has poor eyesight, and he is in a strange environment at present. Moreover, the power outage happened after he beat Shen Yi, as if the girl had her own curse. It was strange and scary. Shen Sanshu has always believed in this. He leaned silently to Uncle Shen in the dark. "Dad, why can't I reach you? I'm a little scared." Shen Sujia asked for help. Shen Sanshu said evilly, "Such a big person, what are you afraid of? Still say it, don't feel ashamed." Shen Sujia. Shen Wang stood up with his familiarity with the environment. Maybe he tripped. "I'll go and have a look. This is not the peak time for passenger flow, and it is said that it should not be tripped." Shen Wang suppressed the strangeness in his heart, turned on the flashlight and walked outside. After inspection, he found that it was not a trip, but as if the wire had been cut. This is also a coincidence. Shen Wang more muttered to himself. At this time, Shen Yi also left the cafe with the light of the electric flashlight. There was a faint sound of muffled thunder in the sky, and it seemed that a cold spring rain was coming. Shen Yi tightened the collar of his coat and walked forward aimlessly along the street. She knows very well that she has to be in a good mood before going home. There are Grandma and Little Orange at home. Although they are likely to have fallen asleep, she is still unwilling to bring negative energy home. She walked slowly along the street, wanting to be quiet alone. However, the uncle's words lingered in her ears. It's like a tight spell, locking her brain and not living in peace. Old practice. Haha, in the eyes of this group of relatives, she is probably unforgivable, and she deserves to die. A black Chulian slowed down quietly behind her and slowly followed her pace. "Get in the car. I'll drive slowly." Guo Hongye's voice came from the car. Shen Yi stopped. She felt in a trance, as if the situation in front of her was not real, but her imagination. Otherwise, who can explain why Guo Hongye suddenly appeared here? Guo Hongye saw the surprise in her eyes clearly, but obviously misunderstood the point of her surprise. He took the initiative to explain, "My driving skills have not improved much, but at this time, I drive slowly and there will be no slip." Shen Yi slowly withdrew from the sense of trance and returned to reality. She simply refused and said, "Thank you for your kindness, Mr. Guo, I can go home by myself. It's raining." Guo Hongye noticed the tiny water droplets on the windshield. "It's all at this point. You shouldn't care about the delay for more half an hour. I want to talk to you about the child." "Kid." Shen Yi's heart tightened. She thought that after returning to China, she protected Shen Jingchen well. All children's coursework is taught through the network connection. If he wants to go out, he is accompanied by the housekeeper Yingyi, who wears a mask all the time. Except for the day she just came back, after getting off the plane, she was not feeling well and a little negligent. She didn't remind Xiao Orange to wear a mask. Could it be that Guo Hongye has sent someone to investigate everything? Is he going to rob her son now? Shen Yi still wants to refuse to talk to him, but she knows Guo Hongye very well. He must get what he wants. The farther you keep him away, the crazier he will be. She can't afford to take the risk of losing her son, so it seems that the negotiation cannot be escaped. Shen Yi opened the door with a cold face and sat in. Chapter 18. It is by no means a coincidence. Guo Hongye's respiratory system is particularly sensitive, so there is no fragrance in the car all year round. But when Shen Yi got on the bus, he brought a cold fragrance of roses and wormwood. Guo Hongye habitually thought that he was going to cough, but nothing happened. He narrowed the complicated light in his eyes and noticed the moisture in Xiao Yi's body, so he took 2 pieces of paper and handed them over to wipe his hair. Shen Yi didn't answer. Time was precious. Mr. Gore still before she finished her words, Yu Guang saw the arm next to her stretched straight to the top of her head. Shen Yi consciously avoided it. Gore Hongye's hand froze in midair. He was laughed at. Can I eat people? Shen Yi squeezed his lips and did not answer. She looks calm, but only she knows that she is not as calm as she looks. A voice suddenly jumped out of her heart. Didn't he do what happened that year? At this time, Gore Hongye's cold question interrupted her attention. Are they looking for you? Shen Yi looked at the rear-view mirror outside the window. The Shen family came out of the cafe and looked around. In addition, Shen Yi also noticed that a familiar figure was standing across the road, as if waiting for a taxi. Is that Xu Xiao? Her brain turned around quickly. The person driving at this time should have been Xu Xiao. But he was not only not in the car, but also took a taxi on the road. Could it be that Xu Xiao did the sudden power outage in the cafe? Is this what Gore Hongye means? However, how did they know that she was here? And how did you expect that she would suffer? And it would not be a coincidence to cut off the power when she had no way to retreat. Gore Hongye has been sending people to monitor her. Although Gore Hongye also helped her, this kind of feeling of being stared at without privacy and secrecy is not good. Shen Yi took out a few cotton soft towels from the tissue box handed over by Gore Hongye and slowly wiped his hair absent-mindedly. Gore Hongye understood her reaction as a disgust for the Shen family. The force under her feet increased, and the car accelerated forward. After driving 2 streets, he slowly slowed down. Shen Yi also seems to have returned to normal. She stared at the swaying wiper and said lightly, "Say what you want to say. Why didn't you bring the child back with you?" Gore Hongyu is not a verbose person in the first place, so she directly cut into the point. She is still so young. Is there anyone to take care of her abroad? Shen Yi was stunned. Gore Hongye took out the Fashion Week photo of Shen Yi and Xiao Grape from his arms, and explained inadvertently, "I happened to hear it." Shen Yi glanced at the photo, and the big stone in his heart fell to the ground in an instant. It turns out that he is talking about small grapes. This little girl was adopted by her abroad. The little grape in infancy is an Asian baby at first glance. In the 2 years abroad, Shen Yi felt racial discrimination more than once, and she also saw with her own eyes that an adopted Asian girl lived a modern version of Cinderella in a white family. She couldn't bear to let the little Asian baby girl with a pair of big black grape eyes in front of her suffer so much in the future. In addition, she was getting busier and busier at work during that time. She was worried that she would not have enough time to accompany Shen Jingcheng in the future, and had been thinking about making a playmate for him. After careful consideration, Shen Yi filled in the information to apply for adoption. Then, the little grape successfully became a family with them. Little grape is sensible and clingy, and she is a beauty embryo when she is a child. Ash has always wanted to train her to be a supermodel. However, the little girl is not in good health. Before Shen Yi returned to China this time, Xiao Grape happened to be infected with epidemic pneumonia, so she did not bring her daughter back with her. At this moment, Shen Yi suddenly realized. It seems that the person who investigated the little grape mentioned by Ashi should be Gore Hongye's man. So, does he know the existence of the little orange? At this time, Shen Yi did not realize that his long silence had almost annoyed Gore Hongye. Until I heard him say coldly, "Since you have decided to raise a child, you should be conscientious and responsible." That tone is as if Shen Yi is the most incompetent mother in the world. Chapter 19. Spoiling is the patent of children. Children's childhood time is limited. When you understand, they may have grown up. After saying that, Gore Hongye parked the car on the side of the road. Shen Yi's eyes were cold. What do you mean? Are you going to drive her out of the car if you don't agree? The mobile phone suddenly vibrated. Shen Yi looked down. Gore Hongye airdropped a lot of pictures. She clicked on it. Why are all the parenting book lists? Shen Yi finally returned to Huashan Mansion by himself by taxi. Although it is no secret that her current residence is with Gore Hongye, the sense of distance from him in her heart has not disappeared. They are not even friends now, and there is no need to have such a deep relationship. She doesn't want to owe him. Back home, Shen Yi first went to Grandma She's room to have a look. The old man slept lightly and woke up for a while. "Your father just transferred 10,000 yen to me and said that your uncle and third uncle will go back to Leishi County tomorrow," Grandma Shen said with some tiredness. Shen Yi lay down beside her and coaxed her grandmother to sleep, "So you can live here at ease recently." The old man finally fell asleep. After confirming that Grandma was asleep, Shen Yi crept back to his room. When she changed her pajamas, she inexplicably remembered the book lists that Gore Hongye threw to her. "I always feel something is wrong. Why is he learning about parenting? Is he going to be a father?" At this moment, she heard the slight movement of the bedroom door being opened. Shen Yi walked out of the cloakroom and saw her son in blue little whale home clothes looking at her pitifully. "Did you have a nightmare?" Shen Yi asked as he walked. The little guy doesn't speak, which looks a little awkward. It seems that he wants to be spoiled, but it's not funny. Shen Yi picked up his son and gently tapped the tip of his nose with his index finger. Our little orange is indeed a little man, but even so, there is nothing to regret for having a nightmare. You know, even if people live to the age of grandma, they will have nightmares. This is so normal. She lay down in the quilt with the cubs and asked with the wind and drizzle, "What did you dream about? Can you tell your mother?" Shen Jingcheng paused and then shook his head. "Don't you really want to say it?" Shen Yi gently stroked the back of her son's head, and the child's soft hair made her relax. The fatigue of the whole day also quietly dissipated from her body like a trickle at this moment. "If you really don't want to say it, just wait until you want to say it. Now, I just want to have a good sleep with my mother. Do you want to listen to the story?" Shen Yi looked at his son lovingly, and the little guy's watery eyes seemed to be full of stars. He looked at himself a little strangely, as if he hadn't seen Shen Yi for a long time. Shen Yi couldn't help feeling guilty. Did she spend significantly less time with her child in the past 2 days, which made him feel insecure? "Mommy." Shen Jingcheng's thin arms held Shen Yi tightly. "You can tell a story casually. I can't think of it." Shen Yi smiled and said as usual, "Okay, let's tell the story of the Little Mermaid. Once upon a time, in the blue sea, there lived a..." This is one of Shen Jingcheng's favorite stories in the past. Shen Yi told her son many times, so she believed it. Before the story is finished, Shen Jingcheng has fallen asleep. But this time, Shen Yi said that he fell asleep, and the little guy was still awake. He blinked his eyes to make sure that his mother had fallen asleep, and then he stretched out his little hand to pull away the hair hanging in front of her forehead. It seems that it is not enough to do this. The little guy slowly got up, pecked Shen Yi's face slightly, and then said to himself, "Mommy, Nono loves you." It turns out that little orange is right. Coddling is the privilege of children, hee. Chapter 20. Which woman gave birth to a child for him? The next day, Shen Yi took the initiative to contact Aishi, and the person investigating the little grape was Guo Hongyu. I guess it's him too. When it comes to Guo Hongyu, Ashi is more unhappy than Shen Yi. He didn't do anything excessive to you, did he? Next time you go out, you have to let Yingyi follow you. I pay him 200,000 yen every month. Is it for nothing? Phew. Shen Yi was almost choked by the coffee in his mouth. Why is it 200,000 again? Will more or less affect your fortune? She really doesn't like this number. You don't have to be afraid of Guo Hongyu. He can investigate the little grape, but I can't investigate him. Aishi was proud. To tell you the truth, I also got information that he had a son. He should be about the same age as an orange. Shen Yi was stunned. She suddenly understood why Guo Hongyu could send such a rich list of parenting books in an instant. Because that's his daily book list. This man is really interesting. He is so strict about raising a child that he can't even get a picture of a child. Ash complained that it was boring, but then he seemed to think of something funny and regained his smiling attitude. Can't you and him always meet face to face? You can find out which woman gave birth to the child for him. I'm not curious about this. Shen Yi refused coldly. However, the strange thing is that the more she says she is not curious, the more she will not let her go. During this day, she always thought of Ashi's words inexplicably. Which woman gave birth to his child? Qin Xiaolin? Or someone else? Gao Xiao took the information and came to Shen Yi to sign. Seeing that she was distracted, he couldn't help worrying about her health. "Mr. Shen, won't you get off work early today? Mr. Liao read the plan you recommended for newcomers to go to the Love Variety show. She said she thought it was very good, so she simply left the 2 newcomers' projects to you to take full responsibility." Gao Xiao reported. "I'm all right." Shen Yi nodded. She muttered slightly, thinking about Liao Minghua's change of attitude. After the last data breach, the 2 of them have officially passed the move. It is clear at a glance who wins and who loses. However, in the workplace, swords and shadows are hidden. Shen Yi believes that a smart person like Liao Minghua will naturally not be stupid enough to have steps. Liao Minghua's decentralization of power allowed her to dominate the training plan of the 2 newcomers. In addition to the performance that seemed to be retreating forward, there must be the opportunity to test Shen Yi's deep strength behind it. Shen Yi smiled secretly in his heart. If Liao Minghua wants to see it, let her watch it. She doesn't have to step in the middle, just take care of the east and the west. Is this the plan of Love Sugar Time? Shen Yi took the information in Gao Xiao's hand, gently rubbed his temples and said, "I will finish reading it before I get off work, and I will reply to you then." Love Sugar Time is a love variety show planned by the Clockwork video platform. I have done 2 seasons before, and they are all amateur guests. This time, they plan to invite some newcomers from the entertainment industry as guests as a new element of this season. Clockwork sent invitations to major entertainment companies, but many people conservatively refused. Many companies want their own artists not to fall in love in their lives, and how can they send newcomers to participate in the love variety show? Shen Yi doesn't think so. Artists are also human beings. When it's time to fall in love, they should fall in love. Artists can be set up by others, but they can't violate humanity. Now, the audience's acceptance is very high, so she is more accepting of generous frankness than covert concealment. Moreover, the company sends new artists to participate in the Love variety show, just to increase the exposure rate, accumulate the audience, and lay a certain foundation for the release of powerful works in the future. Can you fall in love after the last Love variety show? Then many people in the world are going to lose their jobs. Shen Yi is more inclined to think that this Love variety show is a test for the two newcomers she chose. She is not afraid that they will fall in love, but she doesn't want the people she cultivates to have poor eyesight and look for a partner. If these two artists are too romantic, she will just pass them, lest the artists trained by the company spend a lot of money on will do everything for the so-called love one day. Break her plan, she wants to stab people. After all, no one in the world can look at the works of art they have carefully made and jump into the cesspool. Shen Yi carefully read the plan handed over by the program team and circled the problems in it. For example, a script-killing element has been added to this season, but the content is vaguely introduced. She thought that there was too much space for operation here, so she marked more in the plan, and then handed it over to Gao Xiao to connect and negotiate with the person in charge of Love Sugar Time. As a result, that night, the staff of Love Sugar pulled up a group. The name of the group was simple and rough, and it was called Battle. Chapter 21, No Overtime. When Shen Yi was pulled into the group, he was applying a mask. The mobile phone jingle ding-dong kept ringing, attracting Shen Jingcheng, who was reading outside. "Mommy, it's late. You can't work overtime." With that, Shen Jingcheng muted her mobile phone domineeringly. Shen Yi smiled and acquiesced to his son's behavior. "In the past, my son liked to focus on her feelings in everything. Before doing anything, he habitually asked her for advice. But recently, he seems to have a much bigger idea. Do whatever you want and do it directly, saving the steps of asking for instructions. Maybe it was influenced by his grandmother." Shen Yi thinks that this is also good. It was not until she finished applying the mask and coaxed her son to brush his teeth that she picked up her mobile phone and took a look. There are already 99 plus messages in the strange group chat group called Battle. Shen Yi glanced at it roughly and understood the general situation. There are 5 parties in the group. The production team of the program Love Sugar, Pineapple Entertainment, where Shen Yi is located, and 3 other artist companies that participated in the recording of this season's variety show. After the official confrontation, the representatives of the 5 parties were quickly divided into 2 camps. The program team has an independent camp, and the other 4 companies are united. Everyone's contradictions and differences are all in the script-killing elements in the project planning of this season. In line with the principle of being responsible for their own interests, the artist company certainly hopes that the arrangement of the program team will be open and transparent. But the attitude of the program team is very arrogant. "I don't know how you understand customization." At this stage, the list of guests participating in the program has not even been determined. How to determine the plot content of the script-killing game first? Then, the staff member explained to the representatives what is called customized script killing with the tone of teaching children to read and recognize words. The people in the group are all management representatives of each company who have the right to speak. It's very unpleasant to be pulled into the group during non-working hours. Who wants to listen to the beep of this unclear speaker of the program team? A few people directly opened the microphone to fight the program team. Shen Yi took a general look and felt that what they said was quite accurate. She asked Gao Xiao to give feedback in the afternoon, which are these questions. However, when Shen Yi pulled to the bottom, he found that there was something wrong with the painting style. A person with a business card named Mercury Entertainment Yi Tianqiao suddenly flirted with Shen Yi and Gao Xiao. "Which one are you from? Are you so good-tempered?" In the face of this attitude, can the program team bear it again and again? Don't be a cat. Come out and say a few words so that everyone can get to know each other. It means to blame her for not taking a stand in the previous intense discussion. Shen Yi was still going to bed early. The staff of the program team was one step closer to her and jumped out and said, "Can't someone support the views of our program team? You are so interesting." Shen Yi laughed after watching it. They are all quite interesting. This Yi Tianjia treats her as a younger brother. And the program team took the opportunity to use her as a gunman. Didn't you just delay for a while and not watch the group? They also made up several episodes of TV series one by one. Therefore, Shen Yi deleted the original content and replied 3 words in an extremely simple way, "No overtime." After sending, "Take Gao Xiao out of the group." At night, the quiet and beautiful returned in an instant. Chapter 22 We Can Change It. Early the next morning, before Shen Yi arrived in the office, the program team of Love Sugar sent a new person in charge to apologize. Shen Yi heard Gao Xiao say that when people were waiting in the small living room, he didn't want to see them right away. She has even thought of rejecting the invitation to the variety show. After all, the program has not officially started to be recorded, and it has already made a lot of noise. Who knows how many things will be worry-free in the future. Besides, she didn't say anything in the group yesterday. Is it worth it for them to apologize early in the morning? Shen Yi thought of Guo Hongyi coldly. He has been sending people to keep an eye on her every move recently. Is it because there was an unpleasant noise in the group last night? He has received the rumor, so he put pressure on the Love Sugar program team. Just as Shen Yi was guessing, Gao Xiao said, Mr. Shen, accompanied by the new person in charge, and Mr. Zhong Youlun, CEO of GLV. Zhong Youlun. Why did he come? Previously, on the GLV charity night, Zhong Youlun didn't know whether he was greeted by Ash, and he had taken care of Shen Yi many times. Therefore, in view of Zhong Youlun's feelings, Shen Yi suspended his work and went to the small living room. Hello, Mr. Shen. Seeing Shen Yi appear, the man in a black overall vest in the small living room immediately stood up. My name is Jin An, and I am the general manager of the third season of the variety show Love Sugar Time. Jin An introduced himself sincerely, as if Shen Yi was about to invest hundreds of millions in Love Sugar 3. Shen Yi was flattered in his heart, but his face was calm and smiled. Hello. Last night, the newcomer of our program team acted recklessly and improperly. He has left our program team. Jin An did not hide his eagerness and said to the point, first of all, I sincerely apologize to you for disturbing you last night. After saying that, he took out a large pile of documents from his backpack and handed them over. These are the 3 candidate killing scripts. Please have a look. Jin An said respectfully. He was still wearing a work permit on his uniform vest, which seemed to be in a hurry. Shen Yi glanced at it silently and saw that the word General Director was clearly written on his work card. It can be seen that what he said is not false. But since his status is so high, he doesn't have to apologize in person. Looking at Jin An's eager attitude to admit his mistake, it was as if someone had put a knife on his neck. Shen Yi took over the script, but he didn't want to read it. Mr. Jin, thank you for your visit today, but I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you. Shen Yi smiled apologetically. I think our artists are not suitable for Love Sugar. Jin An's heart seems to have sunk into the bottom of the ice lake in an instant. Mr. Shen, if you have any other requirements, please feel free to mention them. No matter what the requirements are, we will cooperate. He said very sincerely, but what Shen Yi heard was like drawing a big cake. It's like a man making a promise to a woman in love, saying that he will love her for the rest of his life. I don't have any requirements, but I think your team's variety show positioning is too different from the direction of our company's training of artists. We'd better look for another one in the future. We can change it. Really? Jin An interrupted her anxiously. A man with clear eyebrows and beautiful eyes looked like he was about to cry because of Shen Yi's cold attitude. Please cooperate. Chapter 23. It's too fast to be alienated. Shen Yi squeezed his lips. Now, she doesn't doubt it. She is very sure that Jin An was kidnapped by some brand interests. Otherwise, with the popularity and topic accumulated in the first 2 seasons of Love Sugar, it is difficult for any artist company to be worthy of the general director of this program. Shen Yi couldn't help looking at Zhong Youlun. He didn't make a sound throughout the whole process, reducing his sense of existence to a minimum. But Shen Yi knows very well that he can't appear here for no reason. After Jin An found that Shen Yi grasped the key point, he did not hide the gratitude in his eyes. In order to further express his sincerity, Jin An shook out all the internal secrets that had not been disclosed to the public. Mr. Zheng is considering whether to sponsor this season's Love Sugar. The only thing he cares about is whether your artists will participate. Jin An's smile is full of flattery and humility. This made Shen Yi feel at a loss. She made her decision and didn't like to be influenced by other factors. Capital can kidnap the program team and kidnap the general director Jin An, but how can it indirectly kidnap her? Miss Shen didn't have to worry. Zhong Youlun finally took on his suit at this time and stood up elegantly. If the actual situation was not ideal, it didn't matter. Jin An's eyes panicked in an instant. He wanted to say something more, but he stopped talking. In a short moment, Shen Yi saw all the bitterness and embarrassment of adults from him. After quick deliberation, she made up her mind. Director Jin is very sincere, and I believe that the sponsorship of GLV this season should provide good material foundation for the guests. Then I have nothing to worry about. Shen Yi shook the information in his hand. I will finish reading the script as soon as possible. If there are any questions, I will give feedback. Okay. Thank you. Jin An shook hands with Shen Yi excitedly, as if she were a living bodhisattva. After Jin An left, Shen Yi chatted with Zhong Youlun for a while. The focus of her concern is how much money GLV will sponsor this season's Love Sugar. However, Zhong Youlun's point is whether she is free to have dinner with her tonight. Tonight? I may have to look at the work schedule first. Shen Yi shrugged his shoulders and smiled apologetically. He just came back to work, and it was not convenient to ask for leave casually. With that, Shen Yi pretended to ask his assistant Gao Xiao about his schedule today. However, what she actually sent was 6 words with a lot of information: come in and say I'm busy. Gao Xiao arrived quickly. She took a tablet and looked at the cloud work schedule, like an emotionless robot, and said, 2 p.m., Public Relations Department meeting. At 4:30, Mr. Liao arranged a high-level meeting. The estimated duration of the meeting is 2 hours. As soon as Zhong Youlen wanted to discuss with Shan Yi which Shitolaya restaurant to go to in the evening, he heard Gao Xiao change his breath and continued, after the meeting, let's have dinner together. Shen Yixiao was even more sorry. It seems that we can only find a suitable opportunity next time. At that time, I will invite Mr. Zhong. All right. Zhong Youlen didn't stay for a long time and left. As soon as he left, Shen Yi called Ashi. If you are free, you can make a new boyfriend. Don't mess around. What? Isn't this Zhong Youlen very good? There was a smile in Ash's voice. She was unmarried at an old age, returned from France, was excellent at cooking, and was also a child. King Shen Yi interrupted her introduction of the king's wife selling melons. Not suitable, no eyes. Your mother and son are really the same, even the tone of speech is exactly the same. Ash sighed and said, why don't you send the little orange back first? He has only been back for a few days, and he is starting to be impatient when talking to me. Shen Yi doubted the authenticity of Ash's words. But Ash really sounds heartbroken. You bastard, you not only ignore me, but also dare to hang up on me. It's getting rusty too fast. Chapter 24 Mommy will be scared. In the evening, Shen Yi came back from work. When she got home, she had dinner with Grandma Shen and Shen Jingcheng as usual, and did not mention that Ash introduced her to a partner. However, Shen Jingcheng's little face was full of sullenness. After a few mouthfuls of rice, he said, I'm full and I'm going back to bed. After saying that, he walked away with a small face. Looking at the child's busy back, Grandma Shen couldn't help saying seriously, Yi, finding a partner depends on fate, and she can't be in a hurry. If you live alone as before, Grandma will definitely not ask. But you still have to consider your child's feelings, right? Shen Yi laughed. Grandma, today's incident is purely a misunderstanding. Then you explain it yourself and the little orange. Grandma Shen muttered dissatisfiedly. Shen Yi did not leave the table immediately. She even served herself another bowl of soup. In the past, my son did not reject himself to find his other half. He even worked with his godmother Ash, who was keen to work on this matter. However, he suddenly changed his attitude. There must have been something she didn't know about. But in any case, it is impolite for little orange to hang up the phone without saying goodbye. He ate with a little emotion and ran away after eating, which was too wayward. Shen Yi has always been not used to the little temper of children. Whether it is a little orange or a little grape, if they do something wrong, she will not coax them immediately. She is willing to let the child calm down for a while. But in the room, Shen Jingcheng couldn't wait for his mother's figure for a long time, and his little heart beat faster and faster. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Shen Jingcheng stroked his uncomfortable chest and muttered to himself. However, he raised his head uncomfortably and saw his little face through the mirror, which was getting red at a speed visible to the naked eye. No, you can't get sick. Mommy will be scared. When the little guy wanted to inform others, his body had reached the limit of his endurance. Dong. After a muffled sound, Shen Jingcheng fell straight to the ground. Ying Yi happened to pass by and heard a strange noise from Shen Jingcheng's room, so he pushed the door in to check the situation. Young master? Exclamation came, and Shen Yi immediately threw down his chopsticks and went straight to his son's room. When she saw Shen Jingcheng, the little guy was completely unconscious. His little face was red and his eyebrows were wrinkled. I don't know how much pain he suffered. Hurry up. Go to the hospital. Late at night, Shan Yi leaned against the cold wall of the hospital corridor, with undried tears in his red eyes. She is very grateful to Yi. If it hadn't been for his delicate mind and caution, she couldn't imagine how serious the consequences would have been. At the same time, she also regrets it. If her self-righteousness makes her lose this child, she will never forgive herself for the rest of her life. The child is fine, but he has a heart disease at such a young age. As parents, you must be more careful. The doctor said sternly. Heart disease? Shen Yi's eyes trembled and he whispered in disbelief. No problem was found in the previous inspection. That is, you are too careless. The doctor pushed the frame of the glasses. If you don't believe me, you can take the child to more hospitals for examination. Sorry, that's not what I meant. Shen Yi regained his spirits and thanked the doctor. Mommy. There was a child's babble in the ward, and Shen Yi rushed in at the speed of flying. On the hospital bed, Shen Jingchang's little face blushed abnormally, but his lips turned white. Shen Yi's heart was like a needle. Mom didn't find a boyfriend. It was the godmother who joked with you. Shen Yi held his son's small palm and took the initiative to explain word by word, so don't think about this anymore, okay? Chapter 25 When I went out, it was full of uncles and aunts. The little man on the hospital bed suddenly turned red-eyed. He really worried Mommy. This little heart is not competitive at all. Mommy, it's my fault. Shen Jingcheng apologized very seriously. I will take good care of myself in the future. As for Mom looking for a boyfriend. Mommy, I don't want you to find a boyfriend. Shen Jingcheng showed his attitude very seriously. My mommy is so excellent that she must find a man worthy of her. Shen Yisheng was afraid that he would be excited, so he stroked the little guy's shoulder and said, let's discuss this matter later. The most important thing now is the baby's body. We can discuss it later, but mommy has to promise me that this matter must be left to me. Shin Jingchun said firmly. He could see that his mother was a little unhappy. The little guy is not without worries in his heart. However, for more important things, he can only use a little trick to let his mother make a promise first. Mommy and I are hooking. Shen Jingchun grabbed Shen Yi's little thumb and hooked his little finger up. The corners of Shen Yi's lips are upturned. Okay, pull the hook. In the past 6 years, she has been reluctant to fall in love, not only because she has not met the right person, but also because she feels that she may not be able to find a man she thinks is qualified to be her son's father. But if there is a man that the child likes, as long as he has a fatal problem, she is not unacceptable. At the same time, Go Eunwo followed his little aunt Go Roya to attend a baby's birthday party at the Ginkgo mansion. The birthday girl, Bao Kwai Kwai, is the child of Go Roya's good friend. Kwai Kwai called Go Roya aunt, and Go Eunwo had to call Kwai Kwai aunt. In the past, children thought this generation was too interesting. Only Go Eunwo, who was forced to call uncle and aunt, had a small face darker than splashed ink. After several times, Go Eunwo was unwilling to follow Go Roya out casually. Today, Kwai Koi learned that Go Eunwo was willing to come to her birthday party. She agreed with the children present early that no one was allowed to mention the uncle and aunt. If someone deliberately makes Nono unhappy, I will never be friends with him again. Kwai Kwai, who looks like a doll, is originally the position of stars holding the moon among children. And it's her birthday again today. Of course, the children care about what she says. Never mention it. Not long after, Go Eunwo arrived. Go Royao thought of the previous unhappily breakup. Before parting ways with Go Eunwo, she deliberately bent down and patted him on the head, saying, "Before going out, we made an appointment for 3 chapters. You said you wouldn't get angry with the children casually, so we went out together." "I know." Go Eunwo nodded obediently and cutely, which didn't look the same as before. Go Royao is still not very relieved. "Tell your aunt honestly, did you quarrel with your father?" Auntie's eyes are so sharp that she can see everything. "There is no quarrel, but my father always says that I am not in good health and doesn't let me go out. I'm so stuffy." Go Eunwo showed some grievances. Go Royao was almost fascinated by his cute little appearance. She couldn't help reaching out and pinching Go Eunwo's little face. Finally, she had some flesh. In the future, she would eat well like now. "All right, let's go play. If someone dares to bully you, you should think about your own surname. Our family can't suffer at all. Got it, little sister-in-law?" After parting ways with Go Royao, Go Eunwo first gave the gift to Xiao Shouting Kwai Kwai, and then joined the children's building block game. Chapter 26. You are a social thug at a young age. Not long after Go Eunwo joined, a little girl in a goose yellow organza skirt came to him and sat down. When the other children saw it, they quickly moved aside, as if they were afraid of being hit by this little girl. Go Eunwo stopped the stacking hand and looked at her sideways. The little girl also looked at him, half surprised and half disappointed. "I thought you would never change." Go Eunwo withdrew his gaze in an instant and continued to play with himself. "That's just what you think." The little girl glanced at the other children in disgust, and her tone was as cold as an adult. "We and them were different in the first place. Even if you are willing to play with them now, you will go your separate ways in the future. So what?" Go Eunwo deliberately sat away and deliberately distanced herself from the little girl. "It has nothing to do with you." The little girl suddenly stood up and walked away unhappily. Go Eunwo deliberately approached other children, and also helped one of the children who had a faulty racing car to solve the problem of the racing car. "Wow, that's awesome. No, you can still fix this. I remember it after watching the teacher do it at home." Go Eunwo explained arrogantly. Among the group of children around him, he picked a little fat ball who loved to eat marshmallows and chatted with him. "Hi, is this delicious?" Go Eunwo said, and also twisted a marshmallow. The little fat dumplet's eyes are straight. "You. Why do you eat these?" "Sorry, I didn't know it was your personal snack." Go Eunwo apologized quickly. The little fat ball was so scared that his face turned red. No. This is a public snack, and you can eat it. It's just that you didn't eat these before. Like Rang, you all think these are garbage. This is not garbage." Go Eunwo put the marshmallow in his hand in his mouth. How delicious it was. You. Are you still Nono?" The little fat man was breathing a little faster. Go Eunwo laughed and said, "If it's fake, it's free to change, otherwise what do you think I have changed?" With that, he turned around confidently and asked the little fat ball to take a closer look. The little fat ball was still surprised. He quickly grabbed a handful of marshmallows, chewed them quickly, and shocked himself. "It didn't seem to change, but I don't think you are the Nono." "Huh." Go Eunwo came to the side of the little fat ball. "You are so awesome. How can you see it? However, if you don't tell others about this matter, we are good friends. If I have delicious food in the future, I will share it with you, okay?" The little fat ball's cheeks are bulging, and his eyes are wide, like a white and tender little frog. "Go Eunwo, do you want to be friends with him? Can he be friends with the young master of the Go family?" Seeing that he disagreed, Go Eunhwa thought that the conditions he put forward were too stingy. He thought for a moment and remembered that when he was outside the airport that day, his father said that he could invite new friends home to play, so he added new conditions. If you agree to be friends with me, I invite you to visit our house. Our house is very big, with a large swimming pool, a dream garden, a piano room, my exclusive study, and... I agree. I agree. The little fat ball said in a vague voice. Because he was so excited, he was almost choked by the scum of marshmallows. Go Eunhwa quickly patted him on the back. Eat slowly, eat slowly. By the way, I don't know your name yet. Chapter 27. I want to tell you a little secret. My name is Jinjin. The little fat ball wiped his mouth and laughed so hard that the corners of his mouth were almost behind his ears. Go Eunhwa nodded slowly and repeated, Jinjin. Other children around him ran by, and Go Eunhwa's eyes showed a trace of vigilance. He gently pulled the little fat dumpling aside, glanced at the general environment, quickly locked the figure of the little girl who had just spoken strangely, and whispered to Jingjing, "Is the Rangrang you just mentioned her?" "That's right." Seeing Qing Mengran, Jingjing couldn't help but remember that she had been ridiculed as a little white pig. Jingjing suddenly felt that the marshmallows in her hand didn't smell good. She gloomily put the glass bowl on the table next to her. "Aren't you and Rangrang best friends?" "It used to be, but it's hard to say in the future." Go Eunhwa's straight eyebrows wrinkled. She didn't speak or do anything like a child at all, and she didn't know how their adults taught her. Jingjing stared again. Go Eunhwa was nervous and choked again. As he said, he stretched out his hand to pat his friend on the back. Jingjing shook her head like a rattle. "No, no. You are so unexpected. I may not have thought so much about Mac to make friends before, but now I understand that I know what kind of friends I need." Go Eunhwa said with a stern glance. He put on Jingjing's shoulder and asked a new question. "Do you know who is surnamed Qi among my former friends?" Jin blinked his ignorant eyes and asked back, "Isn't Qing Manra's surname Qing?" Go Eunhwa stretched his eyebrows and arched out a small Sichuan character again. "Are he and the friends of the Qing family best friends?" After playing with Jingjing for a while, Go Eunhwa found an opportunity to go to the flowers. Qing Mongrang is in the flowers, and her personal photographer is taking photos. Seeing Go Eunhwa's arrival, Qing Mongrang temporarily lost interest in taking photos. "I want to tell you a little secret." Go Eunhwa thought back to Jingjing's description of his past. He was not talkative and cool, so he deliberately restrained his smile. "Come here quickly," he said. Qing Mongrang didn't show any unhappiness because of his stiff command attitude, and her photographer also walked away with a smile. Go Eunhwa suppressed the uncomplice in the bottom of his heart and led the way to a corner further away from the crowd. "What kind of secret?" Qing Mongrang showed curiosity. Go Eunhwa didn't take the question and asked directly, "Do you have intrauterine memory?" "I just remember what happened in my mother's belly." Qing Mongrang is confused. "What is that?" "Don't you remember at all?" Go Eunhwa continued to speak to himself, "But I remember hearing a lot of names when I was in my mother's belly. For example, Go Hongyu, for example. Qin Xiaolin." "Huh." Qin Mongrang was surprised and happy. "Have you heard my aunt's name?" Go Eunhwa didn't answer her question directly. "Well, maybe I met your aunt when my mother was pregnant with me. Ask your aunt for me later. Does she know who my mother is?" I will definitely ask for you." Qin Mongrang happily agreed. After the secret conversation, Go Eunhwa returned to the children's pile. Not only that, he also took Qin Mongrang to play together. When Qin Xiaoling came to pick up Qin Mongrang, she was suddenly unhappy when she saw that she was surrounded by a group of messy children. "Rangrang, come here, it's time to go home." Qin Xiaoling had a smile on her face, but her eyes showed dignity. Qin Mongrang reluctantly waved goodbye to Go Eunhwa. It was also at this time that Qin Xiaoling found that Go Eunhwa was also in this group of children. She couldn't help breaking her plan and walking towards them. "Nono, who did you come with today?" Qin Xiaoling asked with a smile. Go Eunhwa stared at this face, which was similar to Qing Manre's Shenyin, and his eyes became deeper and deeper. He didn't answer her question, but just stared at her motionlessly. It seems that time has stopped. Chapter 28. What does he still remember? Qin Xiaoling was stared at and her heart was furry. Go Hongyu, the son, has always been arrogant and has no one in his eyes. What's so weird today? Aunt. Qin Mongrang shook Qin Xiaoling's hand and shook her away thoughts back. "Let's go back." Qin Xiaoling changed her mind temporarily. "Hasn't Nwanwa left yet? Auntie is waiting for you. You can play for a while." At this time, Go Eunhwa slowly withdrew his eyes from Qin Xiaoling. He looked at Qin Mongrang and made a move that shocked everyone. Go Eunhwa gently grabbed Qin Mongrang's shoulder, leaned close to her ear, and whispered, "Remember to ask for me." Qin Mongrang's little face blushed slightly, and her watery eyes were full of firmness and responsibility. Go Eunhwa waved at her and ran away to the adults' play area. Qin Xiaoling left the villa with her little niece. As soon as she got into the car, she couldn't wait to say, "Rao, don't you think Nono is different from usual?" "There is no difference." Qin Mongrang remembered the scene of him whispering to himself again. Whether Nwanwa is willing to talk to other children or not, in his heart, he is still the most special one. Mom said that people are constantly changing. It's boring to be a person who doesn't change. Nono is indeed a little different from before, but he is still the best for himself, that's enough. Chin Moran remembered the secret Guanwa told him, and couldn't help but take the initiative to ask his aunt, "Auntie, do you know Nwanwa's mother?" Chin Xiaoling Dansha put away her smiling face, but she didn't want the child to see her true emotions, so she turned her face out of the car window. Why did she suddenly ask this? All children have mothers, but Nono doesn't. I hope he can find his own mother. Chin Mengran said like a little adult. Chin Xiaoling didn't say anything and started the car impatiently. Obviously, when she went out, the weather was okay, but now it's drizzling. The glass of the car became hazy, and the road became congested. Chin Xiaoling couldn't help but get more irritable. However, at this time, Chin Mengran asked her unyieldingly, "Auntie, you haven't answered me yet, do you know Nwanwa's mother?" "I don't know." Chin Xiaoling fell into the window to breathe, but the raindrops floating into the car made everything worse. After all, Chin Mengran is still a child. How can he pay so much attention? She didn't know that her aunt was restless, but she could see that her aunt had just lied. "Auntie, do you know that some children have intrauterine memories?" Chin Mengran looked at the flashing red light countdown in front of him and whispered. "Nono said that he had heard your name when he was in his mother's belly. So, you must know her." Chin Xiaoling's chest seemed to be strangled by an invisible big hand. She looked strange, turned her head to stare at Chin Mengran, and asked in an unkind tone, "What does he still remember? What did he hear others say about me?" The owner of the car in the rear kept honking and honking the horn to signal Chin Xiaoling to drive. Chin Mengran was frightened by Chin Xiaoling's appearance, and only felt that the aunt in front of her was very strange. She pursed her little mouth and refused to answer. And the urging behind the car is also getting more and more urgent. Chin Xiaoling was so angry that she stepped on the accelerator. However, the green light at this intersection is very short. When she started the car, the light had turned red. Bang! The Chin family's car collided at the intersection and from the side, making a terrible noise. Chapter 29. Do you leave your fate to human nature? When Qin Mingyi and his wife arrived at the hospital, Chin Xiaoling had already taken Rangrang to check the injury. The little girl didn't shed a tear until she saw her parents that she suddenly tore off her strong mask and cried and howled. After all, he was less than 5 years old. He was shocked by the car accident and his little face turned pale. When Qin Mingyi saw this scene, he couldn't wait to beat Qin Xiaoling up. However, Qin Xiaoling still showed an impatient face at Renran's crying. "How do you drive the car?" Qin Mingyi couldn't help having an attack. Qin Xiaoling's eyes suddenly became fierce. "How could I drive the car? Why don't you ask your baby why he keeps chatting with me and annoying me while I'm driving?" "Qin Xiaoling, are you now blaming the responsibility for the car accident on a child?" Qin Mingyi was furious. In the hearts of their brothers and sisters, there are still lumps about the last GLV red carpet. Qin Mingyi was reprimanded by his father and was deprived of the responsibility of a project. Qin Xiaoling was taken down by her mother and forced to be confined for a long time. In the eyes of both sides, the reason why they will be caught in Shan Yi's urn is all caused by the other party's incaution and rash actions. I thought that after a period of time, this matter would naturally pass. But the sudden car accident reminded them of this contradiction. Moreover, in Qin Xiaoling's opinion, Qin Mingyi has done much more than this stupid thing. "Mingyi, Xiaoling, Ranran, she has been scared. Can you not quarrel here?" Qin Mingyi's wife hugged Qin Mengran, who was still crying and venting, and said with tears in her eyes. Qin Xiaoling just took this opportunity to drag Qin Mingyi away. Walking to the end of the empty corridor, Qin Xiaoling angrily spread Qin Mingyi's arm and said fiercely, "Do you know what Ranran said to me today?" Qin Mingyi didn't bother to look at her straight. What did he say? She said that Guanwa had memories in his mother's belly. He had heard others talk about me. Qin Xiaoling gritted her teeth and said. Qin Mingyi frowned, "So what? Shen Yi has been with Guo Hongye all year round. Isn't it normal to hear your name? Do you have a pig brain?" Qin Xiaoling scolded angrily. According to the date of birth of taking care of Enwa, when Shang Yi was pregnant with him, he was only 1 or 2 months old, and his brain was not yet developed. Do you really think he has any intrafetal memories? Only then did Qin Mingyi pause and seriously thought about what Qin Xiaoling said. After a few seconds, he asked suspiciously, "Do you mean that someone deliberately taught Guanwa these words?" "Of course." Qin Xiaoling's heart is called a hatred. "Did you rely on the person you found back then? Are they tight-mouthed? Second brother, let me tell you this. If we leaked a word about that year, the business dealing between our family and the Gu family would be completely broken. The family has not been peaceful recently. If this matter is raised, what will happen in the future? Think about it yourself." Qin Mingyi was in a mess. He thought about it again and said, "There should be no problem. One of the 2 people died accidentally in those years, and the other one gave him a large sum of money to let him hide in his hometown. He should not come out in his life." Qin Xiaoling interrupted him angrily, "Should? Do you leave your future and destiny in this family to humanity? I really shouldn't trust you. Xiaolin. The sudden shout interrupted the argument between their brother and sister. Qin Xiaolin turned around and saw a man in a dark grey hooded sweatshirt. Her surging emotions were slightly soothed at this moment. Ah Chung. Qin Xiaolin walked towards him and hugged the man. Chapter 30. Why can't I get along with Shen Yi? The person's name is Yi Chung, the legal husband of Qin Xiaolin. The two got married 2 years ago. The Qing family officially announced that they had been in love for a long time, but in fact, it was just that Qin Xiaolin was ignored by Guo Hongye. At a sister's party, she drank wildly and threw Yi Chung down. After a night of enchantment, Qin Xiaolin was supposed to pat her ass and leave. But because Yi Chung is indeed good-looking, and there is a little shadow of Guo Hongye between his eyebrows, Qin Xiaolin left the other party's contact information. 2 months later, Qin Xiaolin found out that she was pregnant. Qin's parents thought this was a good thing. After 2 major family meetings, they not only accepted Yi Chung, but also arranged a new identity for him. Overnight, Yi Chung changed from a sports student with developed limbs and a simple mind to a psychiatrist with outstanding achievements and a mysterious family background, Dr. Yi. They are also raw, but the difference is more than a little big. In order to ensure that Yi Chung could keep this person, the Jin family arranged a lot of homework for him not to suddenly overturn in the future. Yi Chung is obedient and cooperative, which is fully worthy of the title of 24 filial sons-in-law given to him by Qin Xiaolin in private. In the past 2 years, he has indeed fulfilled the requirements of the Qing family. I have never made a mistake in my work, and I am very obedient to Qin Xiaolin. In other words, the two of them should be a sweet match. But in fact, Qin Xiaolin only regarded Yi Chung as Guo Hongye's stand-in. Only when she has her own needs, she will briefly draw warmth from Yi Chung. Just like now. When Qing Mingyi saw that Qin Xiaolin went to find Yi Chung, he temporarily stopped arguing with her and went back to the ward to accompany his wife and children. Yi Chung rubbed Qin Xiaolin's soft curly hair and looked at her dotingly. Why did you quarrel with the second brother again? I don't want to quarrel with him, but he is really too casual. Qin Xiaolin took off her strong mask and became a child as big as Ranran in front of Yi Chung. If he hadn't taught Shen Yi a lesson at the beginning, how could he have left so many endless consequences? Shen Yi. These days, no one has mentioned this name in front of Yi Chung, but Yi Chung has not ignored the ups and downs around Qin Xiaolin. He looked down at the beautiful sister in his arms and asked warmly, who is Shen Yi? Guo Hongye's former toys. Qin Xiaolin answered without thinking. However, after saying that, she intended he recognized that his tone was not right, so he pretended to be calm and added, the relationship that is a private secretary on the surface, but everything comes from private. I see. Yi Chung smiled faintly. Did the second brother like her? Why can't you get along with her? Because. Qin Xiaolin smiled indifferently. Because she once felt that she was going to fly to the branch and become a phoenix. With the help of Guo Hongye as a support, she humiliated me and my second brother. Yi Chung's eyes suddenly brightened and darkened. Such a person is really annoying. Forget it, I won't talk about her. Qin Xiaolin's eyes avoided and didn't want to say that there were many mistakes. Today's car accident really scared me. For a moment, I thought I would never see you again. Fool. Yi Chung held her tightly in his arms again. The glass fog at the end of the corridor is hazy, vaguely reflecting Yi Chung's unpredictable eyes. He thought that the people he hated by his wife should not live in this world. Chapter 31 is a long-term plan. Hua Shen's famous residence. Because Little Orange was diagnosed with heart disease, Shen Yi specially asked for 3 days off. Mommy, I'm fine. You go to work. Shen Jincheng looked melancholy, as if Shen Yi stayed at home and would hinder his big plan. Shen Yi felt that her son was mysterious, but she also knew that even if the little guy really had a secret, she would not tell her easily. On the contrary, he and his godmother Ash will have nothing to say. Therefore, after Shen Yi told Aishu about this matter, he worked at home at ease. The program team of Love Sugar Time sent a new document about other guests of the season. In view of the unpleasantness that happened last time, the program team seems to intend to take the opportunity to flatter this time to repair the relationship with various artist companies. Of course, the representatives of other artist companies receive messages that ordinary workers are willing to send. As an important figure related to the father of the program team, Shen Yi received the information personally sent by the general director Jinan. This is the list of internet celebrities we have carefully selected, and the information is accompanied by a detailed introduction of each of them. I hope you can take time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for your hard work. Jinan left a message. Shen Yi felt that this was a trivial matter, so he just flipped through it casually and prepared to give it to Gao Xiao to get advice. But even if she flipped it casually, she actually saw a familiar face. In the content of this page, whose stage name is Sijia's sweetheart, Shen Sijia's internet celebrity background is introduced. Shen Sijia and Chengda Media signed an internet celebrity contract with 850,000 fans. Good at singing, dancing. Shen Yi frowned and smiled. The writing is so general and vague, for fear that others will not know that she is very amateurish. Shen Yi searched Shen Sijia's internet celebrity account according to the information sheet. In the dynamic just updated yesterday, she wore a slim suspender skirt with popular fast food music and gently twisted her graceful figure. This is dancing. Click on the homepage to watch more than 100 videos, 2/3 of which are this kind of edge dance. The remaining 1/3, the attached label, is singing. The camera shot at her white and slender neck, and occasionally you can see her delicate chin, or the collarbone deeply concave enough to raise fish. As for the song, as soon as I heard it, I knew it was not sung by Shen Sijia. Shen Sijia's small five-tone is not complete, and it is not this kind of sweet young royal sound. Shen Yi thought about it carefully and felt that participating in a variety show like Love Sugar should be a good opportunity for an internet celebrity like Shen Sijia. Even if you go in as a background board and walk around, the number of fans can increase several times. If their company works harder, or the program team arranges a good opportunity for her, it is not impossible for Shen Sijia to take the opportunity to get some good resources. Although Shen Yi still had a grudge against Shen Sijia's previous response to her, she thought in the long run that if Shen Sijia made a lot of money, the third uncle's family would have a better life. If they have a good life, they won't stare at her all day long and pester grandma, will they? With this calculation, Shen Yi felt that there was still a need to support Shen Sijia. I'll choose one person. Shen Yi took a screenshot and sent it to Jin An. This little girl has something to do with me. However, she wants to be seen by her own ability. You don't need to arrange anything specially. Just take care of it a little when you officially record later. Jin and Xin will understand, okay? Mr. Shen, don't worry. Later, Shen Yi inadvertently clicked on the short video app, and as soon as he opened it, he browsed the latest news of Shen Sijia. This time, she neither sang nor danced, but wore a nightgown that was suspected to be a vacuum, sitting in front of the camera and sharing good news with fans. I may have to stop for a longer period of time from now on. Because I received an invitation to a variety show, I'm going to record the program. Among the fellow guests, there are also popular male stars. But I can't tell who exactly it is. To chapter 32. What kind of strange problem is this? In the comment section of Shen Sijia's account, it is full of blessings. Shen Yi also joined in the fun and left a sentence, come on. After sending it, she didn't take it too seriously. However, what she didn't know was that Shen Sijia was holding her mobile phone, and her first brother appeared all the time. This avatar is quite beautiful. Shen Sijia has always had few female fans. She curiously entered Shen Yi's account. Shen Yi's avatar is her own photo, which was taken by a friend for her when she was skiing in the northern country last year. The sky in the background of the photo is extremely beautiful, just like the color plate of a fairy artist living in the clouds. And Shen Yi, dressed in a shell blue ski suit, is like an ice and snow princess conceived in a snowy mountain. Red lips and pink cheeks, she looks young, and she looks like a female college student who has just graduated. Shen Sijia unconsciously raised her head and glanced at herself in the mirror in front of her. She didn't wear makeup today, and her face was plain. Some time ago, the wide double eyelids were adjusted for the third time. Without makeup, there was still a strange knife-carving feeling. It's very unnatural. Compared with Shen Yi in the photo, he is inferior at once. Shen Sijia immediately collapsed and said angrily, this Shen Yi, the photo P is too much. After the conclusion, Shen Sijia felt much more comfortable, and even replied to Shen Yi with a proud expression. After replying to the message, Shen Sijia suddenly thought of something and picked up the document she had received and read it again. Pineapple Entertainment. Shen Sijia muttered, it turned out that Shen Yi's company also chose someone to participate in Love Sugar. Did she sense that I could be angry, so she smooned in advance? Oh, dog legs. Gore's manner. Young master, it's so late. Let's carry you back to your room to sleep. Walbo, the housekeeper, looked at Goenhua, who insisted on sleeping on the sofa in the living room, and was very worried. The little guy held his little quilt tightly and didn't mean to waver at all. I have to wait for my father. It's the same when you go back to your room to sleep. There was the sound of a car outside, and Uncle Wang opened the door as if he had seen a savior. Guo Hongye went to drink some wine with a few old friends today. When he entered the door, there was a faint smell of tobacco on his body. Uncle Wang's face changed slightly. You are. Don't tell Grandpa. Guo Hongye whispered to Uncle Wang that I couldn't live under the oxygen shield for the rest of my life. But your health is important. In short, you can't be in a hurry. You have to adapt to it slowly. Uncle Wang said with his heartache. While talking, Guo Hongye had noticed the little head on the sofa. He took off his coat and walked happily to his son. Why did you deliberately go against Grandpa Wang? When Guo Hongye squatted down, he brought a clear cold fragrance. Guo Enhua shrugged his nose, and his irritable mood seemed to be mostly soothed. I didn't want to go against Grandpa Wang, I just wanted to wait for you to come back here. Guo Hongye saw the longing in the child's pure eyes. Obviously, we can see each other every day. Obviously, he always seemed to be reluctant to see his father in the past. But at this moment, the son's eyes shone with clear admiration and attachment to him. Guo Hongye felt that his heart was almost merrified. It turns out that my son is so cute when he is not hard-mouthed. Dad, I seem to have made a mistake today. Guo Enwo deliberately leaned back, as if he was afraid of being punished, and his eyes began to fluctuate. I asked Ren to help me ask Aunt Xiaoling if she recognized my mother. As a result, Aunt Xiaoling had a car accident. Guo Hongye was quite surprised. He heard that Qing Xiaoling had a car accident, but he didn't expect that Qing Maoran was also in the car when Qing Xiaoling had a car accident. This has nothing to do with you. Guo Hongye picked up his son and sent him back to his room. It was Aunt Xiaoling's poor driving skills. Dad, you know my mother, don't you? Guo Hongye's face staggered. What kind of strange problem is this? Chapter 33 Unheard of Symptoms. Guo Enwo could see that his father's face had changed. But he didn't mean to accept it as soon as he saw it. Dad, I think I should have a mother. Guo Enwo pouted. I don't know what happened between you and your mother, but if I don't have my mother, I will miss my mother. With that, Guo Enwo stretched out his arm from the quilt and gently pressed his little hand on Guo Hongye's heart, which would always feel uncomfortable here. Guo Hongye still thought his son's appearance was cute, but at the same time, he also had another idea in his heart. You can't let Guo Roya, a woman, take her baby out to play casually. What can I learn from her? My son has become a little bit of a dramatic. Guo Hongye laughed. Dad. Guo Enwo suddenly held Guo Hongye's cheeks. You care about me very much, don't you? You definitely can't watch me miss my mother. So I'll give you a little more time. You must try your best to bring your mother back. After saying that, Guo Enwo raised his little thumb. But after finishing this action, he seemed to regret it immediately, as if he had done something he shouldn't have done, and his evasive eyes were full of regret. Guo Hongye doesn't like to see his son looking left and right. The people who take care of their families must get what they want. Pull the hook. Guo Hongye took the initiative to hook his son's little thumb, and then crossed his thumb to make a deal. The third season of Love Sugar Time is about to start. Shen Yi invited them to dinner at home according to his own practice of training newcomers. Two newcomers who are about to participate in the Love Variety Show recording. The girl's name is Mo Xiaoying and the boy's name is Chen Yilei. Mo Xiaoying studied at Yangcheng Conservatory of Music, and Chen Yilei studied at Moju Academy of Drama. They are both college students. Before today, the two of them had also met in a hurry. Therefore, after taking the car sent by Shen Yi to pick them up, both of them were quite reserved. Especially Mo Xiaoying. She came from Yangcheng and was not familiar with Moju. After the car drove into Huashan's famous residence, Mo Xiaoying looked at the expensive building outside the window, and his already guilty heart became even more uneasy. Shen Jingchen was sent out by Shen Yi to greet his brother and sister. According to his mother's request, he can't stay in the small garden in the front yard, but can only watch at the door. Shen Jingcheng was very obedient. It was not until he saw the familiar car appear that he opened the door and stood at the front door to welcome them. Brother and sister, follow me. While saying this, Shen Jingcheng quietly fiddled with his phone watch and took a picture before they noticed him. Mommy. My brother and sister are here. After reporting to Shen Yi, Shen Jingcheng ran back to his room, inexplicably. The housekeeper Yingyi brought out the washed fruit plate and greeted the guests. Shen Yi walked out of the room in a loose fairy cultivating long skirt. At first sight of the two newcomers, he noticed Mo Xiaoying's nervousness. Have you read the materials sent by the program team? While chatting with them, Shen Yi signaled Yun Yi with his eyes to call Little Orange over. Little Orange is a born social bull. In the past, he was more enthusiastic than Shen Yi's artists. Every time, the artists were very unable to let go when they first came. Little Orange chatted with them casually to open up the pattern. Shen Yi has to admit that in this regard, he is quite dependent on his son. When Ying Yi walked to the door of Shen Jingcheng's room, he heard a faint voice from inside. Will she be very popular? Will he also be popular? Just a little slower than my sister? Shen Jingcheng's tone was a little suspicious. Chapter 34 How can Mr. Shen be our assistant? Little Orange? Mom called you. Ying Yi knocked on the door gently and said. Shen Jingcheng's volume turned up involuntarily. Oh. Got it. Before leaving the room, he quickly and sneakily said to his phone watch, I'll try my best. How's the situation over there? The other end of the phone, very okay, everything is going in an orderly manner. Okay, I'll contact you later. After the call, Shen Jingcheng quickly put away his expression and ran into the living room. Mommy. He came to Shen Yi's side, clinging tightly to his mother, and his big flexible eyes moved back and forth on Mo Xiaoyan and Chen Yilei. Chen Yilei is relatively cheerful and talkative. He looked at Shen Jingcheng's little face and sighed sincerely. The child is so beautiful. Thank you, you too. Shen Jingcheng replied, but his tone was inexplicably stiff. It has a little perfunctory and unapproaching smell. Shen Yi hugged his son, and his smile was mixed with 3 parts of puzzlement. Fortunately, Chen Yilei didn't know what the little orange was like before. He thought that the child was more socially afraid than him. Unconsciously, he relaxed a little. Shen Yi is in a bad state today as a little orange. He no longer pins his hopes on the little guy and takes the initiative to talk about his own arrangements. Tomorrow, I will accompany you to the recording site. At that time, I will check the situation at the scene and then decide whether to accompany you. Chen Yilei was stunned. Wu want to accompany us? Do you also want to appear in the camera? No, I'm just accompanying you outside the court. Shen Yi smiled. You can regard me as a life assistant. Mo Xiaoyan. Chen Yilei. This is the sister of the executive president of the company. Be their life assistant? If they really believe it, they will be more or less ignorant. However, the next day, Shen Yi really came. There were a lot of people at the scene, 30 or 40 staff members of the program team alone. Each company has its own attitude towards new artists, and the assistants are different, but there are at least 3 or 4. Pineapple Entertainment arranged 2 life assistants for Mo Xiaoying and Chen Yilei, a man and a woman. When Shen Yi received the work permit, he asked Jin An for a life assistant in a low-key way. Are you sure? Jin Ang Lao felt that something was going to happen, and his right eyelid jumped. Shen Yi smiled and hung his work permit around his neck without a word. The recording location is located in Qingshan, which is more than 30 kilometers away from the center of the Magic City. The place where the guests lived was originally a high-end folklore. The whole building was designed with panoramic floor-to-ceiling glass, which is convenient for travelers to see the scenery. The program team initially chose this place because it also liked the wide view of this house. Today's recording plan is the first meeting of the guests. The program team adhered to the principle of real restoration and did not let the guests have a positive contact before the official recording began. The guests all stayed in their nanny cars and waited for the directing team to issue instructions. Shen Yi returned to the car after taking the work permit and noticed the fine sweat on Mo Xiaoyan's forehead at first sight. Are you not feeling well? Shen Yi asked with concern. No, it's not. Mr. Shen. Oh no, Mr. Shen? Mo Xiaoyan has not fully adapted to the new name Shen Yi taught her. Her upper lip stumbled and her lower lips, and her mouth was very slooking. She knew that she was in a bad state, but in order not to worry Shen Yi, she reluctantly squeezed out a smile that was worse than crying. Mr. Shen, I was very nervous. Don't be nervous. Just think of it as a joke. Shen Yi patted her knee. Mo Xiaoyan is still timid. She can't come here to play. She just overheard the assistants chatting. They said, after all, our daily salary is only 200 yuan a day, but I look at the battle of the program team, and it's going to tire us to death. How can there be a love variety show to let people parade? Artists can't suffer this kind of hardship. In order to take a beautiful panoramic view later, those work will definitely let us do. Mo Xiaoying is not afraid of fatigue, but what she is afraid of is that the company has spent money on them, but they will not get the corresponding reward. She was afraid that her dream would stop there after recording the program. She is afraid. Chapter 35. Everyone in their family is so unpreparing. Why can't it be here to play? Shen Yi turned on the work permit he had just received. Look, I will experience being a life assistant, and you will experience the social life under the camera. Mo Xiaoying is speechless. At this time, a notification came from the walkie-talkie in the car, asking Chen Yilei to stand by, and soon it was his turn to play. Chen Yilei has been filming in the group before, and he is already very familiar with the camera, so he is very quick to get started. Although Mo Xiaoying couldn't let go at first, when he came to the camera, he also completed the process normally, but he didn't talk much. Shen Yi estimated and edited it later. She should not have many shots. Let it go. Shen Yi didn't come to keep an eye on her. She was afraid that Mo Xiaoying would be afraid because she was here, so she planned to go around by herself to familiarize herself with the environment. Unexpectedly, when I turned a corner by the wall, I met Shen Sijia, who was putting on makeup. Shen Sijia stared at Shen Yi's work card at a glance. She smiled slightly with red lips, as if she felt a little sorry for Shen Yi, and asked softly, Sister Yi, why were you sent to work hard? Shen Yi didn't care and said with a smile, there must be someone to do the work. Shen Sijia cursed in her heart, humph. The dead duck has a hard mouth. Continuing to maintain a good intention on her face, she handed over a bottle of water and said, it's just the beginning of spring, the sun in the suburbs is still quite strong, so don't be tired. Thank you. The sound of the walkie-talkie came, and it should be Shen Sijia's turn to appear. Shen Yi followed her staff to watch it, only to find that the program team actually let her, a little internet celebrity, do the finale. Through the real-time camera, Shen Yi saw Shen Sijia walking into everyone's sight with romantic steps. Not to mention, Shen Sijia's face looks good on the camera. This season of Love Sugar, for men and for women. Except for Chen Yilei, who is a star, the male guests are all industry elites. Among the female guests, Shen Sijia is the only internet celebrity. And the other 3 female guests are new artists from various artist companies. Shen Yi focused on Song Youning, an artist of Mercury Entertainment. She was born with a small face and a single eyelid. In this respect, she directly collided with Mo Xiaoyin. However, Mo Xiaoyin has long hair and Song Youning has short hair. Moreover, in the initial stage of acquaintance, Song Youning was cheerful and talkative, and his innocent and lively image was perfectly established. In contrast, Mo Xiaoyin seemed more wooden. The first recording of the first day ended quickly. The guests were able to rest for an hour before starting to record after the night. As soon as the camera was removed, Mo Xiaoyin suddenly fell down as if her whole body was drained. The life assistant quickly followed, but he didn't expect to feel that Mo Xiaoyin's body temperature was wrong. Sister Yi. The little assistant hurried to report that Xiaoyin was sick. Shen Yi quickly found a thermometer from his bag and measured it for Mo Xiaoyin. Sure enough, 39.1 degrees Celsius. I'll drive her to the hospital, and you go and say hello to the program team. Shen Yi arranged. Mo Xiaoyin is about to give up. Sister Yi, I'm fine. Just take a nap. It used to be like this. When I was nervous, I would have a fever. No, Shen Yi said everything. The doctor had to say that you were fine. Mo Xiaoyin felt uncomfortable, but looking at Shen Yi's expression, she didn't dare to make a sound. Jin An received the news and rushed over in person. We have a doctor here. Let the doctor see the situation first before making a decision. Shen Yi still shook her head. She whispered to Jin An, she should be a stress reaction. I'll take her away from here first, otherwise it won't be restored tonight, which will affect tomorrow's recording. At all. Although Pineapple Entertainment has kept a low profile, there are many people at the scene, and the news that Mo Xiaoyin's illness still spread. Wow, is she a contracted artist? It's only the first day of recording, so I can't stand it. I'm afraid it's not princess disease. I think the person who signed her is sick. Song Yuning of Mercury Entertainment also mentioned the illness of a Pineapple Entertainment artist when reporting his daily life to his boss, Yi Tianxiao. Yi Tianxiao smiled contemptuously. Is everyone in their family so unpromising? The manager is useless, and the artists are also useless. Chapter 36. Can't it be who's golden father? Shen Yi drove away from the recording site of the program for less than half an hour, and 2 more Moju cars drove nearby. In addition to this boutique inn rented by the program team, there are also many other homestays around. Among them, there is the Hot Spring Hotel owned by Guo Ruoyao and the Qingshan branch. Before Guo Hongye brought his son here, Tian Liao greeted Guo Ruoyao. Guo Ruoyao directly informed the store manager that he would be closed today. On the way to Guo Hongye, Guo Ruoyao specially called and said to Guo Enhua, don't learn from your father in the future. You want to welcome but refuse. What do you say, just want the best room? How can my nephews and grandchildren live with strangers? How dangerous it is. The little guy took the mobile phone with the speaker on, looked straight at his father, and nodded in response to the little sister-in-law's words. Remember it. As a result, Guo Hongye was very speechless from then on and went to the Hot Spring Hotel speechlessly. When the father and son got off the bus, the front desk of the hotel seemed to have an argument with the people who came to the hotel. I think it's so empty here. It doesn't look like a private store. Isn't it because they watched someone nearby recording programs and deliberately used this gimmick to coax up house prices? A man with a fleshy face questioned the front desk on duty. The 2 young women next to him stared at the male front desk and used a beauty trick. Little brother, we want 2 rooms, but it doesn't matter at all. We are working all day today. We are so tired that we just want to soak in the hot spring. Excuse me, you'd better go to another house to ask. The front desk smiled and refused ruthlessly. What's so amazing? The middle-aged man slapped the marble front desk cabinet and cursed loudly. Guo Hongye covered his son's ear in time and frowned at the same time. Following the 3 bodyguards of Guo Hongye and his son, 2 were immediately sent. When the front desk was still calling the security guard with the work bell, he grabbed the middle-aged man and threw him out. Hello. What are you doing? The man was driven away in embarrassment, and his whole face turned pig's liver with anger. The bodyguards returned to Guo Hongye coldly. At this time, all the people noticed Guo Hongye and his son wearing black masks. It seems that there is something that can't be provoked. It can't be someone's golden father, right? The 3 people in a group didn't care about their faces, so they quickly tried their best to block their faces and ran away. Dad. Guo Enhua raised his arm and touched the back of his father's hand. It was so cold in the mountains. Guo Hongye immediately bent down to pick up his son, warmed him up with his chest and arms, and walked quickly into the hotel. The temperature in the Green Mountains after night is only 9 degrees. Guo Hongye changed into a light sweatshirt, but he wrapped his son in a small cotton jacket. Dad, am I wearing a little too much? Guo Enhua is inconvenient to move and pouted slightly. If you get sick and go back, if you want to leave again in the future, Grandpa will not agree. Guo Hongye put out the pros and cons and let his son weigh it himself. Guo Enhua only hesitated for 2 seconds. Okay. The 2 of them put on their own mountain hats and explored the Green Mountains at night like ordinary tourists. The original appearance of nature is preserved here, and there is a smell of fireworks. The roadside is packed with natural elements such as mushrooms and stumps for the lights on both sides of the road. For children, these are all wonderful children's interests. Guo Enhua looked left and right, and found everything new and interesting. However, in his heart, what he is most looking forward to is to see the person he misses day and night. When my mother saw me, she would be shocked. Guo Enhua stared at the brightly lit yard in front of her, and muttered quietly in a voice that only she could hear. Chapter 37. She is really not picky about food. The recording site of Love Sugar. Today's second part of the shooting content is mainly for the guests to cook dinner together and then pick out one or two of the games prepared for them by the program team to enhance interaction and understand each other. Mo Xiaoying's absence made the kitchen preparing dinner 7 people. To be precise, it should be 6 people. Because Song Youning not only can't cook, but also claims to be allergic to the smell of oil smoke. While the other 6 guests were busy in the kitchen, Song Youning sat on the sofa, but deliberately chose a tricky position to ensure that the camera could not capture her mobile phone screen. Song Youning is chatting with her assistants. In fact, she is more complaining. That Shen Sijia is so beautiful. I don't know how this kind of unpopular internet celebrity was selected. I feel dirty in the same space with her. You didn't pay attention to her face. It's very cheap. When she smiles at those male guests with this face, she is even more cheap. I feel that she is the kind of person in this program, as long as she can gasp, a man, she is okay. Versatile. Don't be picky about food. After sending the last sentence, Song Youning couldn't help laughing. Her follow-up director accurately grasped the camera, and at this time, the other 2 male guests were also attracted by Song Youning, who was clean-like and generous in personality. They noticed that she was bored on the sofa alone, so they put down the irrelevant things in their hands and went to accompany Song Youning. This disrupted Shen Sijia's plan. She thought she could control the whole situation in the cooking process, but she didn't expect that at the beginning, 2 people were swept away. There are cameras from all angles. Shen Sijia doesn't want to show unhappiness, and doesn't want people to know that she pays a lot of attention to the 3 people chatting on the sofa, so she continues to show that she is addicted to cooking. However, Song Youning's silver bell-like laughter is always in his ears, which makes Shen Sijia restless. When scalding the ribs, Shen Sijia was scalded by boiling water. Fortunately, Chen Yilei has been concentering. Seeing that the situation was wrong, he quickly pulled Shen Sijia away. Shen Sijia was frightened and screamed. Everyone in the cabin looked at her unanimedly. Are you all right? Chen Yilei carefully examined Shen Sijia's bare skin. Shen Sijia was not scalded, but with this good opportunity, she suddenly had a place to vent because of the grievance of being robbed of the limb by Song Youning. Whoa, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. With that, Shen Sijia continued to cook with a small face. The 2 male guests who were talking and laughing in the living room instantly felt that they were simply not worthy of people. No matter what origin the female guest comes from, there are so many shots. It is reasonable that they should not let the frightened her continue to serve so many people. The 2 men agreed again, but this time, they chose to return to the edge of the stream platform. Song Youning had a smile on his face, but his back teeth were already clenched. This cheap little internet celebrity has 1,800 hearts and eyes. Youning, stop it. Get up quickly, or I won't know how to scold you on the internet later. The assistant sent a message. Song Youning had a big temper. I don't want to get close to that little assistant. We are still competing, and Shen Sijia has no intention of quitting here. The spare garlic was not enough, so Shen Sijia peeled the garlic on the spot and cut it again. However, she cut her hand carelessly. Hiss. Don't do it. Go to the side to rest. I'll do it. Chen Yilei looked at the reckless sister and took the initiative to pick up the beam extremely helplessly. Shen Sijia thanked her with tears in her eyes and walked to the living room of the cottage. When Song Youning saw her coming, he immediately went to the bathroom. Shen Sijia asked Song Youning's plan to clean up her wounds failed, but the staff of the director's team called her aside to help her clean the wound. Chapter 38. A glimpse of shock. After being out of sight of the camera for a short time, Shen Sijia was finally relieved. She is not stupid. It can be seen that the male guests at the scene are not interesting to her. The 2 people who chatted with Song Youning are both bigwigs in the workplace and backbone elites. Obviously, they like Song Youning's type of pure and little white flower. Although Chen Yilei is handsome, he is still a college student. He is young and boring. Another male guest named Li Zhongjie is even more strange. It seemed that there was only Xie Wei, the newly debuted actress, in his eyes. The 2 sat together from the beginning, and the latter were almost inseparable. Shen Sijia, naturally, didn't bother to look at him more. It's also quite boring. Shen Sijia muttered in a low voice. As she said, she glanced outside and suddenly saw an outstanding man in the crowd around her. Obviously, like everyone else, he was mixed in the night, but this glance at him made Shen Sijia feel like a glimpse of Jinghong. The mountaineering cap and black mask covered most of his face, but the exposed eyes alone were enough to be breathtaking. It's the best. What a beauty. Many other people's descriptions of her quickly flashed in Shen Sijia's mind. Although these words have touched the ceiling of her literary cultivation, she still feels that these are not enough to describe this man. Does such a man really exist? Shen Sijia didn't care about the men behind her in an instant. She said that her stomach suddenly felt uncomfortable and came out of the ranks of the staff. She came early in the morning, and she was familiar with the terrain around the hut. Shen Sijia was out of the public's sight, circled half a circle from the back of the house, and came to Guo Hongye and his son. At this time, Guo Hongye's staff had found out that Shen Yi had just left the recording site with his own artist. He suddenly lost interest in the crowd in front of him. If it weren't for the son who seemed to have a good time, he wouldn't want to stay any longer. Ah, a sweet female voice suddenly sounded beside him, and Go Hongyi and his son both glanced at the source of the voice. Shen Sijia covered her shell-pink gauze skirt and looked at Go Eunhwa with love and shame. Sorry, kid, I didn't see you just now. Did I bump into you? Go Eunhwa. Is there something wrong with this aunt's eyes? He is not an insignificant little ant. How can he not see it? Besides, why is she covering her skirt? It's like he's a little pervert. Go Eunhwa is so aggrieved that he wants his father to find a lawyer for himself, and he has to sanction this kind of strange aunt. But he took a closer look at Shen Sijia, which suddenly evoked some memories. She is. It doesn't matter, auntie. Go Eunhwa calmly stepped back half a step. I don't care. What's the name of the child? Shen Sijia handed over the bear cookies she had just taken out of the cottage. You look so cute. Did you come to play with adults? Go Eunhwa pointed to Go Hongye behind him, and I came to see my mother. Who is your mother? Shen Sijia's smile was slightly broken, but she was not frustrated by it. She continued to ask, is she in this house? When Go Eunhwa was about to take off her mask to answer, she was suddenly covered by Go Hongying. Miss, it seems that someone is looking for you. The bodyguard of the Go family came forward and blocked Shen Sijia, who was still thinking about getting closer to Go Hongye. Shen Sijia was a little humiliated. She smiled awkwardly and put her focus back on Go Eunhwa. Then I'll go to work first. Goodbye, kid. Go Eunhwa was trapped in the shackles of his father's arms and couldn't move. But he still tried his best to wave his hand, his mouth was unclear, and he whispered, goodbye, auntie. Chapter 39 My father and I came to visit the class. When Shen Sijia went far away, Go Hongye let go of his son. Go Eunhwa turned his head to look at his father's face. His father's eyes were obviously waiting for his explanation. That aunt looks a little familiar, doesn't dad think so? Go Eunhwa actively guided Go Hongye. Go Hongye reluctantly recalled Shen Sijia's steamed bun face. He immediately forced himself to squeeze her figure out of his mind and looked at Go Eunhwa again. Do you know her? Aha. Go Eunhwa opened his eyes wide and lied without changing his face. Isn't it a bit like the fairy sister who took a photo with you? Go Hongye's eyes instantly became strange and unpredictable, as if he had eaten a big fly. After you go back, remember to remind your father to take you to have your eyesight checked regularly. Go Hongyin said seriously. Go Eunhwa held back his smile. Good dad. In the small room, because of Shen Sijia's return, the production of dinner has also accelerated a little. The 7 of them sat together. Obviously, there was a table of dishes, but for some reason, the atmosphere was a little awkward. Yilei, can you spoon some beans for me? Song Youning opened his mouth to break the silence. Chen Yilei, who was cued, immediately stretched out his hand to take Song Yuning's bowl. Another male guest next to him also raised his arm at the same time. However, Song Yuning suddenly took this opportunity to stand up. She pinched the dishes and chopsticks by herself and didn't mean to hand them to anyone. Instead, she looked at Shin Sijia, who was sitting opposite her, and smiled and said, Sijia, let's change our seats. It just so happens that the side where you are sitting is full of the dishes I want to eat. After saying that, she looked at everyone apologetically. I'm sorry, I'm really picky about food. Everyone is in the first stage of acquaintance and recording the program, so naturally, they want to show a better side. Hearing Song Yuning so directly admit that he was picky about food, everyone else felt that he could accommodate and said that it didn't matter. Before Shen Sijia took a stand, Song Youning had already walked over. In this situation, Shen Sijia had to give up her position unexpectedly. Shen Sijia sneered from the bottom of her heart, don't you just like Chen Yulei? Why don't you just write this little thing on your face? Song Youning successfully hit Chen Yulei. During the meal, she also took the opportunity to pick up a dish for Chen Yilei. Chen Yilei looked dumbfounded. It was not until this second that he seemed to remember that he was participating in a love variety show. Chen Yilei is a little worried. He was just dealing with it as a job. If he really wanted to let him fall in love, he had no clue at all. He doesn't really want to fall in love. But this definitely can't be said directly. In front of the camera, he can't show it very well. Therefore, Chen Yilei had a little trouble eating this meal. He was very wary of Song Youning in his heart, and almost always hoped that Song Youning would stay away from him. They are all entertainers. It's better to cherish your feathers. Dinner was finally over. Chen Yilei held back for a while. He really wanted to go out to get some air. After greeting the director's team, Chen Yilei quietly went to the back of the cottage to smoke and breathe. There is a small pond behind the cottage, and the pond has also been arranged by the program team. The fence by the roadside is wrapped with starlights, adding a little warmth to the silence. Chen Yilei turned his back to the cabin, squatted down, and quietly lit a cigarette. 2 assistant soldiers were walking in 2 ways to help him watch the wind, but no one noticed that a small figure walked through the grass and jumped behind Chen Yilei. Brother. Huh. Chen Yilei was so scared that he quickly put out the cigarette. Go Eunhwa patted him on the shoulder. Don't be afraid, brother. There are only 2 of us here. I will definitely help you keep the secret and don't tell it. Chan Yilei was a little familiar with the child's voice and couldn't help but take a closer look at him. Go Eunwoo tore off his mask. Brother, we have seen it. What? Little Orange? Why are you here? Seeing that it was him, Chen Yilei's hanging heart finally let go. My father and I came to visit my mother. Go Eunwoo smiled. I don't know how long it will take for his mother to come back. Chen Yilei couldn't help but worry about Mo Xiaoyan's health with the child's words. It seems that participating in the recording of this variety show is a great test for the two newcomers. Brother, are you worried about something? Go Eunwoo suddenly inquired about Chen Yilei's thoughts in a very professional and understanding tone. Chapter 40. It's worthy of Mr. Shen's child. I'm actually a little slow-tempered. Chen Yilei stared at the cigarette butts that had been extinguished on the ground and recalled the situation in the hut just now. Song Yuning is lively and cheerful, calm and generous, and there is nothing wrong with him. The problem is only with him. He didn't call her, but he had little love experience, and he didn't know how to deal with the ambiguous relationship in the program. Brother, you are an actor, right? Go Eunwoo's tone is a little old-fashioned. Just think of it as a play, but this time you play yourself. Chen Yilei began to think about Go Eunwoo's words in his heart. Dad is still waiting for me. I should go. Go Eunwoo didn't give Chen Yilei the time to come to his senses. Brother, my mother will come back later. Don't tell her that I've been here. She will definitely be worried. Okay. After all, this little guy is a man. Chen Yilei, the child of the boss, still responsibly put away his scattered mood and sent him to his parents. Go Hongyu happened to come over. As soon as Go Eunwoo saw his father, he immediately ran over. Goodbye, brother. Go Eunwoo waved his hand. Chen Yilei also raised his hand to say goodbye to him. When he sees their father and son leave, Chen Yilei appreciated the powerful aura from the man beside Go Eunwoo. It seems to be the god who created this world. He doesn't care about everything. It turned out that Mr. Shen's husband was so powerful. Chen Yilei counted that he had come out for a while and returned to the small house. Everyone has packed up and is ready to start playing the game. Song Yuning showed enthusiasm for him again. Yilei, do you have any games you are familiar with? You choose. Don't say that you are arbitrary every time. Well, let's play Monopoly. Chen Yilei gave the answer. It was also at this moment that he suddenly realized that his psychological burden was not so heavy. It seems that the little guy's words woke him up and made him suddenly open-minded. He is worthy of Mr. Shen's child. Excellent talents are inherited from each other. Late at night, the recording of the program was over, and Shen Yi and Mo Xiaoyan returned to the cottage. Mo Xiaoyan was sleepy. Shen Yi said hello to the head of the program team for her before she went to rest. A new day begins. Mo Xiaoyan recovered her energy. She felt guilty for missing the second recording yesterday. Therefore, in today's new recording, she is determined to perform well. Let's plant strawberries together today. The soil in the back mountain has been loosened, and we plant strawberry seedlings directly. Although it doesn't look like much, it's still quite tiring to do farm work. The guests talked a lot, and Mo Xiaoyan couldn't interrupt and walked to the end silently with the basket. When other people were chirping and laughing, Mo Xiaoyan planted strawberry seedlings alone. She spent her childhood in the countryside, helping her grandparents grow vegetables, fetch water and mow grass, which are all familiar to her daily operations. Therefore, such a small thing as planting some strawberry seedlings is not farm work in her eyes. Xiaoyan worked hard by herself and planted so much. When a male guest turned around to see the progress, he said in surprise. Everyone looked at Mo Xiaoyan and then found that the total number of their other 7 people was only a little more than Mo Xiaoyan's. Jin An saw the situation at the scene. After talking to the staff under him about the work arrangement of the supplementary recording, he couldn't help coming to Shen Yi, who was also watching at the scene. The little girl you signed is very hardworking. Jin An commented. Shen Yi didn't answer but laughed. Love variety shows should not rely on this to attract traffic, right? As long as the shining quality can attract the male guests around her, everything has its potential value. Jin An smiled and said, and by the way, she also invited Shen Yi to come to CP. Who do you like with her? Shen Yi squeezed his lips and smiled, pretending to think. In the car not far away, Go Hongyu looked at her happy look, but he didn't laugh much. Chapter 41. I just like to watch the big scene of a pot. The guest strawberry seedlings had just been planted. During the break, a farm dog suddenly rushed into the strawberry field and ruined half of the strawberry seedlings, while everyone was not paying much attention. How can you make strawberry seedlings if you are good? That's right, it's not that these dogs in the countryside haven't seen plants. Why do they suddenly go crazy? What should we do now? Let's get a batch of strawberry seedlings and resume the scene first. The program team is in a mess because the staff must perform their duties during the recording, and there are few real mobile personnel. The program team can only look at the life assistants of various companies for help. Assistants. Are we some kind of grudges? Everyone dares not complain, but it doesn't mean that they won't complain in their hearts. I have seen that dog before, and Mo Xiaoyan seems to have touched it yesterday. What is this Mo Xiaoyan doing here? Do you want to experience rural life? I like to live a hard life. I've been there by myself. That's right, the local dog is so dirty. There's nothing to touch. If she hadn't provoked this local dog, this kind of coward would not have come to see so many people on our side. I think she is really sick. The assistants were talking. When Shen Yi and the other 2 life assistants came, they unfortunately listened directly. When these people saw them coming, they didn't avoid them. They even had a bad temper and threw 2 strawberry seedlings directly into Shen Yi's basket. These things done by your own artists, you wipe your own ass. The real assistant next to him was angry for Shen Yi. Don't overdo it. Open your dog's eyes wide and see who is unruly first. The man with a straight face shouted directly at Shen Yi and others. If it weren't for your artists to work endlessly all day, would we need to work hard here? The man shouted loudly and his tone was fierce, and everyone around him couldn't help but shut up. At this moment, Shen Yi took 2 steps forward and took a look at the work permit that the man had recited. Oh, Mercury Entertainment? Her voice sounds ordinary at first glance, but in the present situation of opposition, it seems to have a deep meaning. The handsome man was full of displeasure. He took back his work permit and said viciously, "What are you looking at? If I remember correctly, your artists like chocolate the most, right? There are all kinds of chocolates in Yuning's suitcase." Shen Yi said slowly, "Everyone knows that the dog was fine before, and there must be a reason for the sudden madness." Several people of Mercury Entertainment changed their faces in an instant. "What do you mean? It's not interesting." Shen Yi sneered. "You can guess nonsense, but I advise you to control your mouth and hands. But if today's incident spread on the internet, I don't know who is unlucky in the end." She paused and threw out another card. "In addition, we were just late because we sent someone to catch the dog. I also informed the program team to collect all the trash cans and make sure that no chocolate bags were missed. If the chocolate component is really detected in the dog's body later, I will send the chocolate bag to extract fingerprints." The people of Mercury Entertainment turned pale. The female assistant on Shen Yi's side was so angry that she gritted her teeth and whispered in a hateful voice, "It seems that they all know. Isn't it better for a gang to commit a crime?" Shen Yi smiled, "And I like to watch the big scene of a pot." Chapter 42. Who is more important? The people of Mercury Entertainment are in a mess. But experience tells them that they can't admit cowardly like this. When the stalemate could not stand, Shen Yi returned the strawberry seedlings thrown by the other party to them first. "Can it be planted now?" She smiled and looked at the handsome man who took the lead in making trouble. She didn't know that we, who are life assistants, have no ability, and the efficiency of growing a strawberry seedling is not as efficient as that of a female college student. The others dispersed knowingly as if they were afraid of hearing any more humiliating words. Several people in Mercury Entertainment didn't say anything, but as soon as they got the opportunity, they huddled together again. "Is she really checking? This matter must be told to Sister Jiao immediately." "Yes, we can't bear it. Tell Sister Jiao that we still have a way to live. Don't you know Sister Jiao? She must say that it was because we didn't stop Yuning that she had a chance to do wrong." "Yes." Mercury Entertainment's hearts were shocked. If this matter is poked in front of Yi Tianxiao, it is to let Yi Tianxiao choose between their assistants and Song Youning. Add them all up and multiply them by 10 times, and none of Song Youning can make much money for the company. So, which is more important, them or Song Youning? What's the need to think about? Fools know it. Everyone didn't say anything, but glanced at Shen Yi from time to time and began to think about how to save this matter. When Shen Yi buried the strawberry seedlings, Guo Hongying and his son appeared outside the hut again. Through the crowd, Guo Enwa saw his mother in the distance, and he was inevitably distressed for a moment. Guo Hongying observed their labor progress. It seems that Shen Yi and others should be finished. He didn't want the woman to see his son for the time being, so he took the little guy to leave. "Dad, look." Guo Enwa suddenly found something and pointed his little finger in the direction of the strawberry field. Was the fat uncle the one who was thrown out last night? Guo Hongye fixed his eyes on the direction pointed by his son. Sure enough, I saw the fat man with a flat face. He walked to Shen Yi and gave her a greasy smile. "Dad, is he harassing Dad? Is he harassing the fairy sister?" Guo Enwa's little fist couldn't help clenching. The son is like a little man, as if he wants to run over and beat people. Guo Hongyu held his son, observed the surrounding staff and camera lens, and then said, "It will be all over." Shen Yi also has her colleagues by her side. Even if the fat man really has the heart to do something, he will not be so blatant. Guo Hongye immediately called Xixiao and arranged a team of people to come and watch Shen Yi's program until the recording was finished. Yes. In addition, Guo Hongye also edited several text contents. Guo Enwa looked up at his father's dark face and let go of his little fist silently and proudly. The recording of the second day ended at 4 p.m. Because the working day is coming soon, except for Chang Yilei, the 3 male guests will return to Modu to work normally, so the next recording time will be next weekend. The female guest Xie Wei wanted to rush back to the company to attend the artist training class and left after the shooting. Shen Sijia came on her menstrual leave and was not feeling well. She left in Xie Wei's nanny car. Song Yoning's next trip happened to be arranged in Qingshan. When the weather was good, she would take pictures on the spot and take a set of magazine promotional photos, so she and her team stayed. Mo Xiaoyinghe and Chang Yilei didn't leave because Shen Yi didn't have any particularly important arrangements for the two of them for the time being. He planned to let them play in Qingshan for 2 days and then return to the company to attend the routine training class for newcomers. Considering that the 3 remaining people were all VIPs, Jinan offered to let them continue to live in the cottage. Anyway, this place has been rented by the program team. When it is not recorded, it is not open to the public. Okay, thank you, Director Jin. Song Yoning happily accepted the kindness and took Chen Yilei, who was standing next to her, very intimately. Brother Yilei, I heard that there is a private chef here who cooks very well. Shall we go and have a try? Chen Yilei suddenly panicked. He can act in front of the camera. Now outside the camera, can he directly shake off Song Yoning? Chen Yilei looked at Shen Yi blankly, and his eyes for help were very pitiful. Chapter 43 Shen Yi's smile can't be concealed. She picked up her mobile phone and quickly clicked before no one else could react, and took a picture of Song Yoning's attentiveness to Chen Yilei. The assistants of Mercury Entertainment were dumbfounded on the spot. Is this assistant surnamed Sherma Dog? You are so good at catching people wrong. Of course, the little princess of their family is really not afraid of causing trouble for herself. She can't hide her love for Chen Yilei in her eyes. Why did she still do it? At present, the evidence is being held by Pineapple Entertainment. Is it okay to spread it later? It's really the opposite of the world. There was no time to continue scolding Shang Yi. They hurried forward and separated Song Yoning from Chen Yilei. Song Yuning looked dishappy, and Chen Yilei breathed a sigh of relief. The man with a domineering face thought it was a good opportunity to make up for the relationship, so he followed Song Yuning's words just now and sent an invitation to Shen Yi. Sister Shen, look, let's have a meal together later. Yu Ning was unintendedly lost before, and there was indeed a misunderstanding between us. It is said that it is better to solve the enemy than to settle it. You say, right? All right. After planting strawberries for so a while, Shen Yi was indeed a little tired and hungry. Since someone is invited to dinner, save some for the company. After a while, Momo and I changed our clothes and set off. Shen Yi said that he was going to leave. The horizontal meat man was afraid that he had a lot of dreams at night, so he quickly hid the iron while it was hot, and mentioned the photo that Shen Yi had just taken. Look, why don't you delete the photo you took with Yu Ning and Lei Lei? Mobile phones are really not safe. If you don't pay attention, the photos will be spread out and cause a commotion. 3 or 2 sentences can't be explained. There was a smile on his face, but his tone was fierce. Shen Yi smiled faintly. Is this the condition for having dinner together later? Horizontal meat man. He was suddenly choked and couldn't say a word. I've never seen a straight ball, but I've never seen this kind of person who throws the ball directly into other people's faces. Are you polite? Sister Shen, a photo can't explain anything. The horizontal meat man took a deep breath. You took an intimate photo of Yuning close to Chen Yilei. We also have a photo of Yuning's impatient face after they just opened it. The ability to tell stories by looking at pictures will be all of this netizens. Shen Yi was not only not angry, but also laughed more happily, didn't he? It seems that you are quite proficient in marketing. The horizontal meat man felt that he had pinched Shen Yi this time, so he was complacent and smiled twice. Thank you for Sister Shen's praise. You are quite smart. Shen Yi continued to praise him slowly, but it was a pity that he lacked his eyes. The horizontal meat man squeezed his mouth. What does she mean by that? Shen Yi pointed to the other 2 assistants standing beside her, like left and right protection. The mobile phones around their necks were all recording. The horizontal meat man was stunned. It's still being recorded. Shen Yi added a reminder. The horizontal meat man was fixed in the same place, and his heart was like sitting on a roller coaster. He experienced countless rivers and tasted all the sorrows of life. In the end, Shan Yi couldn't go on and gave birth to compassion. She patted the handsome man on the shoulder and said kindly, let's go back to change our clothes. See you downstairs later. Oh. Okay. The horizontal meat man was very stiff, reluctantly opened his mouth to answer, and bit his tongue. It seems that we have met a strong opponent this time. With a face darker than charcoal, he turned around to teach his team a lesson. Chapter 44 Everyone wants to change clothes before drinking cold water and going to the private chef for dinner. Especially the horizontal meat man. He originally thought that Shen Yi didn't look old, and he should be a good bluffer. But he suffered 2 losses in her hands, which shows that she still has some little tricks. Don't underestimate it. Especially when they recorded the whole process, it scared the horizontal meat man to sweat. He may have to fight in the evening. He doesn't want his opponent to find out that he is sweaty. It seems that he lost so outrageous. The horizontal meat man went to the homestay they booked with all his mind. However, as soon as he entered, he saw several familiar suitcases. I'm sorry, sir. Our host has something to do in the next few days and has to close down. What? The horizontal meat man is so angry that his face is about to crook. We have paid the room fee for 3 days. How do you say to drive people away? Sorry, sir, we will compensate you 50% of the 3-day room charge. Please forgive me. The cross-carned man stared. Is he the one who lacks these 3 or 400 yen? He was violent and wanted to have a good talk with the housekeeper of the homestay. But I don't know why, but he felt a little guilty in his heart. Since he came to Jingshan, why does he feel that everything is not smooth? Once there is a conflict with someone, it seems that he has never won. Is it bad luck to drink cold water to stuff your teeth, or is it something else? Forget it, forget it. The handsome man ordered the others to take their luggage and leave quickly. Let's live in another house. With that, he quickly signed out the checkout procedures and hurried to the homestay next door to book a room. But this question made him dumbfounded. The homestay next door is also closed. The homestays next to each other are also closed. The companions whispered, do they pay attention to festivals here, so they all have to rest? Of course not. The horizontal meat man felt a strong sense of being targeted. If he had this particularity, the candy hut of Love Sugar would not be rented to the program team. That's right. Other people are beginning to be puzzled. Why is that? The top priority is that we have to find a place to settle down quickly, put our luggage and change our clothes. Otherwise, Yuning will wait for us for too long, and she will be angry. A little assistant looked scared. The horizontal meat man didn't know what came to his mind, and suddenly said, we are divided into 5 ways to inquire. No matter which homestay is willing to take in, you can book the room first with your ID card. All right, this is the only way for the moment. Time was tight, and everyone didn't have the heart to gossip. They scattered around and tried to find a place to settle down. Half an hour later, someone finally booked a homestay far from the candy cottage. The environment is poor and old. It is not cleaned by a professional housekeeper, but the price is cheap. The landlord looks like you can't live in it, and it's like 25 to 80,000 yen. Live. The horizontal meat man ran from the east to the west panting, which can be regarded as resettling everyone. Candy Hut, although the recorded cameras are all turned off, as long as they are in this environment, Mo Xiaoyin can't help but be nervous. Chen Yilei took her to play the game of drawing blocks to ease her nervousness. Mo Xiaoyin was still absent-minded. Song Yuning changed her clothes and insisted on joining their game. Mo Xiaoyin could see that Song Yuning was falsely showing favor to her. She felt uncomfortable, so she said, you guys play. I'll go outside to wait for Mr. Shen. With that, Mo Xiaoyin walked to the front yard of the candy hut. She looked in the direction of the magic capital and was stunned. What about Peng Jiaze? Shen Yi appeared coldly and made a sound, which scared Mo Xiaoyin all over. Shen, Mr. Shen. Shen Yi changed into a blue, grey and white windbreaker, which made her skin whiter and clearer. There was a playful smile on her face without foundation. As if she was saying that there was no need to hide it, and I could see through everything. Mo Xiaoyin's cheeks turned red in an instant. Peng Jiaze is one of the male guests. Unlike Chang Yilei, a young man in the entertainment industry, and 2 other business-style bigwigs, Peng Jiaze is a self-media person who runs around the world. Free as the wind, free and wanton, is the label on his body. When planting strawberry seedlings this morning, the first person to find that Mo Xiaoyin was working hard was Peng Jiaze. Later, he took the initiative to team up with Mo Xiaoyin, and never let her stand alone again. It was also Peng Jiaze. Before leaving, he also promised Mo Xiaoyin to bring her his homemade chocolate next week. Shen Yi saw all the details. Chapter 45. If you don't go around the world first, Shen Yi looks at Mo Xiaoyin's blushing face, afraid that if she is so shy, she will catch fire in place. Quickly change the topic and ask about Chen Yilei's whereabouts. Oh, he is playing with blocks with Song Yuning in the room. Mo Xiaoyin finally took a breath. Shen Yi couldn't laugh and gently told Mo Xiaoyin to stay with Yilei more often after going out. Mercury Entertainment has 800 hearts per capita. I don't want Yilei to be eaten by them. The confusion in Mo Xiaoyin's eyes quickly dissipated, replaced by alertness and a sense of responsibility. Good, Mr. Shen. After saying that, the 2 went into the room and joined the building block game. The day of spring is not so long. The 4 people originally started the game to kill the time. Who would have thought that while playing, it was dark, and the assistant leader of Mercury Entertainment had not appeared yet. During this period, Chang Yilei has been taking the opportunity to drink water to dodge and dodge again because he was triggered by Song Yuning's social phobia attribute. Song Yuning was hungry, so he understood Chen Yilei's behavior of constantly drinking water as the behavior of carrying hunger. After all, they are all artists. In order to get a photogenic effect, there are many hard ways to carry hunger. For example, drinking water when hungry is one of them. When Chang Yilei walked away to pour water for the nth time, Song Yuning was completely angry. She put down the game and walked out of the cabin. She dialed a phone call to him with the momentum of unloading 8 pieces of the horizontal meat man. What's the matter? Are you going back to Modu to change clothes? Why don't you go on around the world tour first and then come back? Song Yoning's every sentence is thorny. The horizontal meat man knew that he would end up in the hands of these ants sooner or later, but in the face of 5 buckets of rice, he had to lower his head and rush to the hut, coming soon. Song Yeoning even said goodbye to him and cut off the phone directly. On the day she came, she asked them to choose the place closest to her. As a result, I don't know if it's to save a bad time or something, but I live so far away from her. Now she looks around, but she can't see the figure of the cross meat man. He'd better arrive right away. Otherwise, wait for her to turn around and tell all this to Sister Jiao, so that they can't eat and walk around. This bumpy dinner was finally eaten after it was completely dark. The people of Mercury Entertainment are exhausted and buried in cooking. Song Yuning was so angry that he missed the opportunity to watch the sunset with Chang Yilei, and his mood was extremely bad. In addition, Chang Yilei and Mo Xiaoying took care of each other throughout the whole process. They were as close as brothers and sisters. She wanted to interact with Chang Yilei a little, and she had to look at the cracks and insert the needles by herself. Song Yuning was tired. Anyway, she knows that the people of Pineapple Entertainment will stay here for 2 days. Let's find another opportunity later. I'm really not in the mood today. She will follow the assistants to see where they live later. By the way, have a good meeting for them and wake up. Everyone has their own arrangements. After dinner, Shan Yi took his artists and assistants to see Song Yuning and his party leave. Song Yuning's face was gloomy. Despite the dissuasion of his assistants, he insisted to follow them to the homestay to find out. Halfway through, she was so angry that she was about to smoke. You can go straight back to the devil and live there. This is the border of Qingshan. Song Yuning was very wronged, so he was going to call Yi Tianxia to report that the people under him were not human. Several assistants cried and explained the reason, and it was hard to persuade Song Yuning to come down. When he arrived at the place, Song Yuning was first shocked by the black cat raised by the landlord. Then, after rectifying the assistant, it suddenly rained heavily. How can I go back to the cottage? Song Yuning was angry. Her nanny's car was driven to the city for repair today. The program team has a car, but it's rare for them to have a rest. I guess they have to look at their faces when they ask for help. Ning Ning, don't worry. I'll ask the people of Pineapple Entertainment for you. In this way, don't you and Yilei have another chance to contact. The little assistant persuaded. Chapter 46 Heart Disease. The rain this night, like someone's aggrieved heart, is heavy and urgent, as if it can't wait to drown the whole Green Mountain in one breath. Guo Hongye was glad that he took his son back to Gu's manor before the red alert level heavy rain fell. But Guo Enwo obviously doesn't think so. If we had come back later, we would have been trapped with Sister Fairy. The little guy's words are chiselly. Guo Hongye's ideas are different from those of his son. But before he could take a stand, he was sent back the message from the person arranged in Qingshan, Mr. Zhong Youlong, president of China of GLV, booked a medium and high-end homestay 200 meters away from the Love Sugar Cottage. Behind the news, there is the introduction page of this homestay. Guo Hongye clicked to open it. The one-night house price is 888 in the off-season and 1,258 in the peak season. The package store costs 5,000 yuan a day. Another news came up, they contracted the store for a week. Guo Hongye raised his eyebrows slightly. I met him at the charity party last time. In my impression, he looked decent and behaved decently. He didn't look like a lustful person. However, Guo Hongye also remembered that Zhong Youlong was very enthusiastic about Shan Yi that day and took care of him everywhere. Is it a coincidence that he appeared in Qingshan at this time? It doesn't cost much to live in a store, but GLV is at least a world-renowned luxury brand. Is Zhong Youlong, the president of China, so leisurely? He slowly typed a 1 on the screen. When the subordinates received it, they immediately got it and continued to investigate in depth. In the middle of the night, it rained more heavily in Qingshan. Thunder and the lightning that swayed from time to time in the sky made the whole world pale. Mr. Shen, have you slept? Mo Xiaoyin had insomnia. She listened to the noisy sound of rain, and her heart was confused. Because of the weather, Shan Yi slept in the cabin. In order not to affect the room arranged by the program team, the two specially changed to another vacant twin room to sleep tonight. Not long after the lights were turned off, Mo Xiaoyin was not sure whether Shan Yi was asleep, so she whispered. However, she didn't receive a response. Mo Xiaoyin sighed softly and thought to himself. It's normal for Mr. Shen to work hard all day and sleep on the pillow. So she covered the quilt, closed her eyes, and began to count the sheep. But while counting, she suddenly heard a strange sound. Why does it seem like someone is crying? Mo Xiaoyin was covered with sweat. The high tension made her unable to concentrate and raise her ears to confirm the authenticity of the cry. This time, Mo Xiaoyin was sure that he had heard it right, and the voice seemed to come from Shen Yi. Mr. Shen? Mo Xiaoyin turned on the table lamp and looked at Shen Yi's bed. She curled up in the quilt and couldn't stop shaking. Mr. Shen, what's wrong with you? Mo Xiaoyin stretched out his hand to comfort Shen Yi. As soon as he approached, he felt a burning temperature. Not good. After Mo Xiaoyin confirmed that Shen Yi's consciousness was blurred, she immediately went out to find the night shift staff for help. The doctor came overnight. After diagnosis and treatment, he immediately determined that Shen Yi's condition was unusual. You still have to take it to a big hospital. The news alarmed Zhong Yolun. Zhong Yolun personally drove to escort Shen Yi. At 2 a.m., Guo Hongye also rushed to the hospital. He found the attending doctor to find out about Shen Yi's situation. It should be caused by mental illness. The attending doctor glanced out of the window. I had treated a patient in a similar situation before. I guessed that she might also have a shadow on the water. It hasn't rained so heavily in Moju for a long time. I heard from the person who sent her that the rain in the suburbs was heavier and the thunderstorms were mixed. I guess it was induced in this way. The specific situation has to wait for her to wake up later to learn more. Thank you very much. After Guo Hongye finished talking with the attending doctor, Grandma Shen and the housekeeper Yongyi also rushed to the hospital. One by one. When Grandma Shen saw Shen Yi, who was pale on the hospital bed, she was so distressed that she seemed to be stabbed by a needle. Yin Yi politely invited Zhong Yolun out and said that he would pay him back the medical expenses. Small things. Zhong Yolun didn't plan to leave now, but since Shen Yi's family is here, it doesn't make much sense for him to stay, so he said, I'll come to see her tomorrow. After confirming that Zheng Yolan had left, Guo Hongye was finally relieved. It was also after he calmed down, and what the attending doctor said kept echoing in his mind. Heart disease? Afraid of water? What on earth has Shen Yi experienced? Chapter 47 The Secret of Hidden Marriage. Shen Yi woke up at noon the next day. Grandma slept on the companion bed next to her, sleeping peacefully. Shen Yi moved his body and found that his whole body was sore. She felt that she had a little fever, but the temperature was not high, so it should not be a big deal. However, how could she be in the hospital? Suddenly, Shen Yi remembered the wet downpour last night, and the air was full of the fishy smell of soil and grass. Did she dream back to the disaster of life and death 6 years ago? That must have scared Grandma a slight deal. Well, who just told Grandma? Even she didn't save the landline phone number of Huashao's house. Just as Shen Yi was secretly distracted, Mo Xiaoying and Chen Yilei walked into the ward. Mr. Shen, you are awake. Mo Xiaoying is overjoyed. Is there anything else wrong? Chen Yilei is very excited. I'm going to call a doctor. Grandma Shen also opened her eyes at this time and saw that Shen Yi sat up, so she quickly got up. Why don't you call me? I thought I was dreaming. Shen Yi's smile was apologetic. He should be lying here and being taken care of. It should be Grandma. Grandma Shen stared at her angrily. Are you cursing me? Ba ba ba. Mo Xiaoying and Chen Yilei felt that they were superfluous here, so they laughed and said that they were going to inform the doctor and went out. As soon as they arrived in the corridor, they met a tall man. He was wearing a black mask, covered with a cold air, and showed a temperament that was not angry and arrogant. Mo Xiaoyin subconsciously wanted to block his way. He always felt that the man seemed to rush in and eat Shen Yi. However, Guo Hongye did not intend to enter the ward. Is she awake? He asked. Mo Xiaoyin frowned and wanted to ask who he was. But when the words came to his mouth, he didn't know why. He was scared back. This man looks very difficult to mess with. During Mo Xiaoyin's psychological struggle, Chen Yilei was also observing Guo Hongye. He has met this man. He is. Oh, he is the father of Mr. Shen's son, that is, Mr. Shen's husband. Although he heard that Shen was always single, it was he who picked up the little orange that day. Chen Yilei was sure that he had not admitted his mistake. So, are they secret marriages? Sure enough, the world of big people is always full of mystery. Chen Yilei looked at his nose and heart, and glanced at Mo Xiaoyin's intention to block him, and quickly pulled her aside. Let's go, let's go. Huh. Mo Xiaoyin looked at him at a loss. Chen Yilei squeezed her eyes and walked, definitely for your good. When he bypassed Guo Hongye, Chen Yilei whispered, this is the father of Little Orange. Guo Hongye looked at the two of them sneaking away and felt funny. At this time, Grandma Shen also came out of the ward. She said, braised pork ribs, braised pork ribs. Can the hospital canteen have braised pork ribs? If I order takeaway, I won't. Grandma Shen only cared about what Shen Yi wanted to eat, and didn't notice the pillar-like man at the door. But Guo Hongye recognized Grandma Shen. He also heard her words clearly. Guo Hongye immediately called Xi Xiao and asked for a large portion of braised ribs from Ding Dianji to Sanyang. Be fast. Yes. After giving the order, Guo Hongye pushed open the door of the ward. Grandma, you run so fast. Shen Yi raised his eyes, and the unfinished words suddenly stopped. Chapter 48 What kind of father? Guo Hongye gently tore off the mask. Huh? Did you get the wrong person? Shen Yi didn't want to pay attention to him. But just an inadvertent glance, she noticed the dark blue in his eyes. Did he come to the hospital last night? The information is really well in Todd. So what did he see? What did you hear again? He should know very well that she will have such a demon, which is all thanks to him. Do you need me to ask for leave from the company for you? Guo Hongye asked. Thank you for your kindness, Mr. Guo. I'm fine. I don't need to ask for leave. Shen Yi still chose not to look at him, as if he were some kind of flood beast. The expression on Guo Hongyi's face showed impatience. He doesn't like to see her talk with a gun and a stick. Since you don't want to communicate, forget it. He originally invited her for his son's birthday party today. But now, he thinks it's better not to show up in front of his son. Hospital canteen. There is indeed no braised pork ribs today. Grandma Shen still made vegetarian dishes and rice. She planned to ask Mo Xiaoying and Chen Yilei for help after going upstairs. Who knew that when she returned to the ward, the two children were already waiting for her with a portion of braised ribs. Did you hear that? Ouch, I'm embarrassed for her. Grandma Shen smiled and said that our family is picky about food. But except for this disadvantage, everything else is an advantage. Grandma, please take it in and give it to Mr. Shen. We won't disturb your dinner. Mo Xiaoying and Chen Yilei in the afternoon, they had to go back to the company for class. Time was tight. They completed the task assigned by Guo Hongyi and immediately retreated. On the other hand, Yongyi brought the sick meal specially made by the cook at home to the hospital and entered the ward one step later than Grandma Shen. He couldn't help but be a little surprised when he saw the gold-plated word Dingdianji on the insulated bag that Grandma Shen opened. Take out of Dingdianji. Their family doesn't deliver takeaway. Is this a special trip for Shen Yi's artist to buy it for her? There must be a long queue. It's really heartful. Therefore, when arranging the dishes, Yongyi deliberately put the braised pork ribs in the middle. Shen Yi has a good appetite, but after all, she lost her health last night, and she felt full without eating much. Only then did she ask about the braised ribs. It was bought by Xiao Mo and Xiao Chen. These two children are really good. Grandma Shen boasted. Shen Yi thought of these two newcomers have little income at present, but they are willing to run errands and spend money, so they transferred 1,000 yuan to each of them. Mo Xiaoyin immediately clicked to return and said, "You took care of me the day before yesterday." Chen Yilei also refused to accept it, saying, "In fact, we didn't buy the takeaway." Shen Yi was stunned. Who was that? Yes. Chen Yilei felt that he had triggered a delivery proposition, which was bought by Little Orangey's father. Little Orangey's father? Shen Yi squared lightly. It seems that he still knows. This man's desire to control is too strong. I can't wait to hold everyone in the world firmly in his chessboard. He knew the existence of the Little Orange, so that's all. Why is he still talking nonsense in front of Chen Yilei and others? What, Dad? He is not qualified to be her son's father. The rain outside the window hasn't stopped yet, but it's not as heavy as last night. When it was almost dark, someone found a floating male corpse on the shore of Huixin Lake in the magic capital. The area of Huixin Lake is indeed sparsely populated. For a while, the street lights are not turned on at night because the circuit is aging, and it is pitch black. The nearby residents don't usually go there. Unexpectedly, such an accident happened. The police blocked the scene and investigated the cause of death. The neighbors rushed to tell each other, and people were panicking for a moment. Chapter 49. Who else is Lao Zhuo? Because many people speculated that he fell into the water and died accidentally, and the results of the police investigation were not announced so quickly, the influence of this matter is relatively small, and it did not cause a storm all over the city. When Qin Xiaoling got off work, she received a warm reminder from the property management of the community, followed by a condolence call from Yicheng. A place near my house has been blocked by the police. It seems that something has happened. I'll come to pick you up from work these days. I'm almost downstairs at your company. Yi Chong said. Qin Xiaoling glanced at the traffic downstairs. Okay, I'll come down right away. Hanging up the phone, she stared at her mobile phone for a few seconds. This feeling of being held in the hand is very good. However, Yi Chang puts her first in everything, which will delay his own affairs, right? He was originally the son-in-law of the Qing family. Many pairs of eyes were staring at him inside and outside. If he couldn't spend more time on himself to create commendable achievements, it would not be enough to focus on her. Alas. Qin Xiaoling couldn't help but have a little emotion. This little emotion suddenly made her less anxious to leave the company. Let Yi Cheng wait a little longer. Qin Xiaoling entered the bathroom in her office and began to make up slowly. At this time, another call was made into the mobile phone. Second brother. Qin Xiaoling put her mobile phone flat on the marble table of the wash basin and said hello carelessly. This is the first time Qin Miyi has contacted Qin Xiaolin since the last unpleasant event in the hospital. She didn't completely turn over the matter in her heart, so she treated Qin Miyi with a cold attitude. Who would have thought that Qin Miyi's attitude towards her was colder than hers? Did you see the news? He asked. Qin Xiaolin didn't take his words to heart at all. What news? Lao Zhuo is dead. Who? Lao Zhuo. Qin Miyi's volume suddenly turned up. Do you have a brain? Why don't you remember anything? Qin Xiaoling was stopped by his yelling of lipstick and glanced at her mobile phone with disgust. Second brother, are you too cold again? Who are you yelling at? This person is more or less ignorant of good and evil, right? Call him the second brother. Does he really treat himself as a dish? If it weren't for her own dignity at home, Qin Xiaoling would really miss this cheap brother. It's amazing to manage this half-father's love with a little thought. Don't he count it in his heart? Who are you yelling like a grandson? Qin Xiaoling said that she was about to hang up the phone, but Qin Mingyi's next sentence was steadily and cruel. Which Lao draw? Which old draw can be there? It's the one who went to get Shen Yi back then. Qin Xiaoling suddenly turned off the speaker, threw down the bright lipstick, grabbed the mobile phone and put it in her ear. Do you mean that the rest is also dead? Yes. Qin Mingyi pinched the bridge of his nose and closed his eyes irritably and anxiously. Tell me the truth, does this matter have anything to do with you? How can it have something to do with me? Qin Xiaoling was laughed angrily. I don't even remember his name. What can I have to do with these people? But he died in the new park near your home. Qin Mingyi gritted his teeth. 6 years ago, I gave him money and asked him to hide as far as he wanted. Tell me why he suddenly appeared in Mordu. It's still so close to your home. Qin Xiaoling's bad words came to her mouth again, but Qin Mingyi seemed to guess what she was going to say. She grabbed the head of the words and continued, Xiaoling, some things don't need to be done by yourself. If you hook your fingers, someone will do it for you. We all know this. You just need to tell me if you let go of the hook. No, Qin Xiaoling answered simply, but Yi Cheng's face and what she said to Yi Cheng suddenly flashed in her mind. If he hadn't taught Shen Yi a lesson at the beginning, how could he have left so many endless consequences? It seems that she has only talked to Yi Cheng recently. Chapter 50. Not worthy of her noble second brother. I know there may not be so many coincidences in the world, but what if this person just fell into the water? Qin Xiaoling is as calm as a sophisticated killer. It's good to prepare early, but it's not necessary to take the initiative to show a fox's tail. Qing Min swallowed the smoke, and her tense nerves seemed to finally relax for a moment because of her words. If you say it has nothing to do with you, I will believe it. He emphasized it for the last time, but I also take this opportunity to remind you not to do anything too far. Qin Xiaoling's face suddenly collapsed. People are doing it, and God is watching, right? Without even saying goodbye, Qin Mingyi hung up the phone. In the mirror, Qin Xiaoling is like a beautiful snake with poisonous eyes, and she may open her mouth and eat people at any time. She raised her hand and stroked her delicate and silky skin, and her white jade-like fingertips repeatedly went back and forth at the corners of her jaw. This face is far superior to 10 years ago. However, is Guo Hongye blind? Why doesn't he seem to see her beauty? Or is it that his taste is so tricky, that is, he likes the new and hates the old? Or maybe she is too impatient as a hunter. When he was a child, he obviously didn't like to care about people. With a disgusted face, he looked at all the people and things coldly, as if he was just a black angel passing by this world. But in the end, it was not she who knocked on the door of his heart. Once upon a time, Guo Hongye only had her in his heart. His black wings only spread for her alone. If she hadn't been bored with his special love and had to go out to find freedom, how could she be exploited by Shen Yi, a little bitch? Thinking of this, Qin Xiaoling picked up the lipstick thrown away by herself again. Several decorative diamonds fell on the original exquisite lipstick case. The small empty pit that lost the drill light was so ugly that Qin Xiaoling disliked it. She decisively threw her lipstick into the trash can. Flawed things are not worthy of her nobility. Only a human boutique like Guo Hongyu is worthy of being side by side with her. What Qin Xiaoling wants to get, she must get it. In a good mood, Qin Xiaoling stepped on 10 centimeters high heels and walked out of the company with the temperament of staring at all sentient beings. She got into Yi Cheng's car, but she had been playing with her mobile phone. Even Yi Cheng asked her what she wanted to eat. She didn't come back to her senses until she asked for the 3rd time. Are you too tired at work today? Yi Cheng rubbed the top of her head and asked lovingly. It's a little bit. Besides, I've been thinking about that news. Qin Xiaoling yawned half really and half falsely. Why are there still people who are so careless and fall into the lake these times? Maybe he's old. Yi Cheng held the steering wheel with his left hand and held Qin Xiaoling's weak and boneless little hand in his right hand. Isn't it normal for such an accident to have no company around him? Baby, don't worry, I will always be with you. Qin Xiaoling held his hand, and her fingertips added a little gravity and said, it's good to have a husband here. However, how do you know that he has no one to accompany him? Yi Cheng looked up at the rearview mirror and blinked gently. I guessed. If someone is with him and sees him falling into the water, someone will save him. That's right, my husband is still thoughtful. Qin Xiaoling smiled like a flower, but her face slowly turned to the right window. The car scene outside the window retreated quickly, and Qin Xiaoling's anxious eyes were faintly reflected on the glass. Substitutes are substitutes, which can't be used as meals. No matter how she teaches, Yi Cheng can never make her feel at ease like Guo Hongye. It's time to have some fun.